murderous Decepticons have conquered the Autobots' home planet of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons. Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron. It is the year 2005. The treacherous Decepticons have conquered the Autobots' home planet of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons,
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons,
Of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons, Cybertrons,
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons,
Of Cybertron. It is the year 2005. The treacherous Decepticons have conquered the Autobots' home planet of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons,
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons,
Of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons, Cybertrons,
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons,
Of Cybertron. It is the year 2005. The treacherous Decepticons have conquered the Autobots' home planet of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons. Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons. Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons. Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons. Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron.
Cybertrons.
Of Cybertron. Of Cybertron.
All right, so welcome to the stream.
Yes. Welcome, everyone.
But eventually more will join us, I hope. But for now, two of us will be entertaining you.
Yes.
And to start things off, I'm going to talk about the review I posted 2 days ago over on Children of Primus, which is one I did back in 2020, immediately before everything happened.
Right.
When Earthrise had just gotten started, and the world was full of hope.
Yes.
And that was Hoist, which was the first Earthrise character I got. Now,
Nice.
and who I consider part of an important paired item with Grapple, who also got an Earthrise figure in the same way, probably for that reason.
Yes. I mean, a perfect pairing. To time with the Master Builders episode.
Yeah. And it's pretty much entirely because of that I was into grabbing these two guys, because before even talking about like the quality of the figures, I just liked those characters because they're like non-combatants. They're just guys trying to get by in a setting that's perhaps not friendly to non-combatants, right?
Yes.
Plus the fact that they're just these like weird British artisanal people is just interesting in and of itself.
Between let's see, I think between Hoist, Grapple, Outback, although Outback was Australian, and then
Yeah.
Stylings, were the only ones I could recall that that didn't have American accents.
Oh, that and Perceptor, who was also the same way.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. And the funny thing that I always thought about Hoist is, I don't know if this is standard, but like if you drive around in Toronto like I did before COVID for work, there are trucks that look exactly like this just out there on the streets, right?
That's true.
So that's sort of why I always appreciated that he changed into a very normal vehicle.
Yep.
Like I've never seen anything like Grapple's thing in the wild, though it feels like it should exist because there's certainly been enough like stock construction vehicle plastic toys of it.
No, that's true.
Yeah. But Hoist, I'm like, this is real. This exists, right?
I mean, funny enough, like I'm looking at a Hook because I have him here and also in vehicle mode.
Are they the same? Are they the exact same thing? I think they might be.
They almost are. The only difference with Hook is I would say Hook is almost more what you would find in reality because he has the back cab where the person sits to operate the crane, where you don't see that.
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah. So that's a G2 one, I suppose, right?
Nope, G1.
Oh, it looks yellow on the camera.
Yeah, he's been in the sun and dust for like 40 years, but he's original.
Yeah. I had to reissue Constructicons for a while. I kind of regret selling them sometimes.
And it's funny because I remember as a kid. Do you recall the store Honest Ed's?
Yeah. It was a Toronto fixture.
Yes, like I remember as a child. I think I seen the red. It was either red or yellow Constructicon set for like $10 because it was like a knockoff, and I'm like, it would have been nice to, because as a child you're like, no, the Constructicons are green. Like I'm not, like this is fake. But looking back at it now, it's like, oh, I should have gotten like 2 or 3 of those. Like who knows what they would have been worth now.
It's weird. Maybe I don't frequent the right environments, but like I always hear about bootleg Scramble City Combiners, bootleg Constructicons, bootleg G1 guys. I've never seen any in real life ever. I've seen pictures online. I've seen people talk a lot about them. I've never actually run into any. And it might be interesting, right?
It really is the odd place. And and funny enough, D was on a live stream with another YouTuber, and they were putting together the Magic Cube Rooted Minosaur. And for some reason I had a flashback, and I'm like, didn't I have like an F1 Formula style transformer when I was a kid, but that wasn't a transformer, and I realized it was a GoBot, and I'm like, I have not seen that in like 30 something years, and I looked it up, and I'm like, wow, like it'd be cool to even find that again.
So it's a Crasher. I think Crasher was an F1, or at least her modern updates have all been.
Right, and it wasn't Crasher because that was the black card. This one was like yellow, so it looked similar to Dragstrip. Yeah,
I'm not familiar enough with GoBots to quickly ID that.
And I mean, funny enough, back then there was like so many. Not even knockoffs, just variations of all different robots. Because I'm even surprised that it was even a GoBot. Like I figured it was just a regular transforming toy before like Transformers actually took off.
So the converter, I heard those were a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like, no, I've never seen any of these fabled G1 knockoffs. It's to the point where I know they're not great, but they feel fabled to me just because I've never ran into them.
Well, I mean, it's crazy. Like within all the groups and everything, is like the amount of knockoffs that exist. So I'm like, exactly where did people run into these or find them? Considering in some countries the legitimate Transformers, like they don't have access to them, like all the reissues and everything, like they just don't have it, but then they'll have all these knockoffs that like no one's ever seen.
Yeah, there's this funky trend that I think is still a thing, maybe, but at least it was maybe a decade ago, where there'd be bootlegs coming out of China that were patterned to look like G1 reissues, right? Mm-hmm. And like the big selling point was they were doing reissues like Mirage and Sunstreaker and Grimlock that weren't getting official reissues because the molds were either lost or destroyed, but somehow these ones existed. And so that was the whole thing for a while.
And I mean, the one cool thing is some of the reissues look identical to the original. So I know some people would debate, or they would have that argument. I'm like, well, no, I don't want a reissue or a knockoff. And I'm like, really, when you look at it, if it's on the shelf, it looks exactly as it would have looked if you bought it in 1984, 1985. And you love that character. There's no difference. Like it's, as opposed to not having the character.
Yeah, so I was thinking one little mini quest of mine. I haven't quite pulled the trigger on it. Was to actually get all the hubcaps because that wouldn't be hard. I got 2 out of 5 already, right? Nice. And the G1 version, there are a ton of them floating around on eBay, like mint on card for fairly low prices, and I'm like, I think these are bootlegs. Wow. I'm also like, would it matter? Because
Mm-hmm. And I mean. Well, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, especially with a little mini bot like that, it's hard to mess that up.
It's true, and I think the fact of that certain characters like Hubcap, because he didn't end up in the cartoon, only some people back then really knew of him. So in a sense, there could be like hundreds of them lying around who are the actual versions, but no one would realize it. Because like I remember when Sea Spray and Cosmos came out, you go in the store and there'd be just like a whole wall full of Sea Spray because no child really wanted to buy him, but like all the other characters like Warpath, Power Glide, Beachcomber, like all of those were sold out, but there was just a wall of Sea Sprays. So I could imagine now on like eBay or anywhere else, there's probably hundreds of them, just people selling them.
Was Sea Spray really that unpopular back in the day?
He kind of was, because I think everyone just kind of either went to like the cooler characters or the characters that had a better look to them. And I'm surprised Sea Spray didn't really sell as much, but there was just a ton of him in the store. But certain other characters, like you would never find them. Like they were probably either just sold out or unavailable.
Yeah. What would have been hard to find back in the day?
And it's the unfortunate thing is that because back then it's like there wasn't really the focus there is now, where a certain line is coming out, so then everyone's kind of keeping an eye on it. Whereas like back then it was just more of a, okay, my birthday's coming, what do I get to buy, or or Christmas is coming, what are the options? Because I remember for like consumers catalogs, they would have Optimus and Megatron, I think a few of the Autobot vehicles, but in terms of like the full selection, like I know the catalogs never had them, and same as the stores. Like I was able to get Bruticus, like I was surprised I got Bruticus because they actually had like all 5 figures in the store. But then for Defensor, like I got the gift set for Defensor from consumers, which I had never seen that in the store, and I don't think I actually seen any of the Protectobots in the stores, only in consumers.
Yeah, instead of the catalog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember getting Thunderbird's mini vehicles the same way.
Nice.
The little drill and stuff.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, as maybe you can speak to this because I wasn't alive at the height of G1, but it's always a curious thing to me. But the thing about the way stuff was distributed and handled back then was you would see like the same figure being made available for like 3, sometimes 4 years if it was popular, like without changes, which we're only just now sort of seeing. But even now, with like in like both Earthrise and Kingdom, they'll still throw them into new looking boxes.
Mm-hmm. It kind of played out that way, and it's funny when pointing out how things are now. It almost seems like they're just repeating the same I guess distribution that didn't fully work then, and then somehow they didn't realize it didn't work then. Why do it the same now? But I do recall for certain characters. Like I remember getting Blaster in the store and Inferno. So certain characters that they did have it in the original packaging, there would only be like a handful of them, because I don't recall seeing Grapple in the store, but Inferno was there. And then later on, only say like a few were repackaged, but then they started changing the packaging design and started more of a push to the later part of G1, where they started having the MicroMasters, what else? Like the Headmasters. Actually, the Headmasters were still in the original packaging, but around MicroMasters, they went to the later packaging. Finding earlier characters, I think you wouldn't really see much of the earlier characters at that point. So it's either they were off the shelf, and I mean, who knows what off the shelf meant back then. If it was just sent back to Hasbro or sent somewhere else, that only like certain people had access to.
Well, I think a lot about how they were mail away catalogs in the later years of the line that would have offers for figures that were no longer in general distribution, like a Digital Doom to the Highway of Destruction, where they had like Sunstreaker and Cliff Jumper and people like that in like year 3 and beyond.
Interesting. Oh, I never knew of those ones.
Yeah. The same catalogs where you could also get like the Power Dashers and Omnibots and things out of.
Well, it's funny. I still actually have a few of those for the Power Dashers, and was it for Reflector and the Omnibots. And then I was actually thinking one day to actually like send some money and then see if they actually send me like an original Reflector, if like that division even still exists.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It would be funny though if they actually honored that.
I always heard that there was like a G.I. Joe thing like a decade ago where they did that, where they were like not the vintage, not figures, but like new ones, and they're like, if you happen to have any old whatever their version of Robot Points was, you send it in.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's more of a global thing than anything else. Last time Transformers did that was there was a version of Revenge of the Fallen Ravage in that time period, like 2009.
Okay.
It was like a red and silver version, and you could mail in things to get them at the end of a campaign. But this was only in America, and here in Canada, they just mass released him as a Toys R Us only figure.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and he's shelf formed. So
wow. Yeah, honestly, it's a real question of like what goes into the marketing or distribution between the figures. It's like, make it for one country, make it exclusive. For another, you can just walk in any store and find it. And in some countries, like they just don't have access to it, which then fuels all the scalpers. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll get it for 10, but I'll sell it to you for like 250 since you have no way of getting it.
Yeah, whilst I of course disapprove of scalping, I'm also not going to try and claim that I know better how distribution works, because I know it's a complicated hydra of a problem.
Yeah.
And that stuff like Hasbro Pulse and online things like EB Games are very much designed as an attempt to counter that, because the buck really stops at the retailers usually. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me personally, I try to just go, especially after 2020 happened. My policy used to be that I basically never got any figures online. It was what I could find in person, and then when I went to conventions was when I'd get like the imported or third party stuff.
Okay.
But 2020 now, post 2021, I buy most of my stuff online because partially because it wasn't safe for a while, and also partially because like I just don't have to worry about distribution.
Right. That's true. Which I think, I've seen in other industries, a lot of companies are, especially because of 2020, a lot of companies are forcing their customers to buy online. So even stuff that they had available in stores, they're slowly scaling back. So say the company had like 50 items in their line, the store may only have like 15 of those items. The other 35 you have to buy online, and eventually like they're gonna get rid of those 15. So like they're just exclusively online.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's the way of the future, then so be it. I will say, I will say one thing. It's half of the reason I used to only get this stuff in person was because a habit I tried to wean myself was I would get very compulsive about tiny bits of QC on figures. So like if the paint was a little bit weird, or if there was something obviously wrong, I'd want to be able to go to the store and like pick the best one off of a shelf of like 5 or 6 of them.
Nice.
And I'm like, this is probably not good. I should probably be more laissez-faire about this. Because I'm not talking about stuff being broken. I'm just talking about, is everything colored within the lines?
Yes.
You know. But I've gotten better about that. And being forced to buy everything online kind of help wean me of that habit.
But I mean, when you look at some of the characters out there, especially some of like the really close knockoffs,
Yeah.
you know, you can tell it's like, well, they just threw the colors in certain spots as like the colors bleeding, or just the stickers are kind of like just slapped on without any effort. So, you know, it's like you kind of want to have a look into that before buying it, or just, you know, it shows up at your door and you're like, what's this?
Yeah, that's valid too. Well, one of the first times I got back to shopping at Walmart was I finally saw some of the Red Series action figures in person, you know, the non-transforming ones.
Yes.
And it's funny because I'm not usually the type to complain about this stuff, because I was a big fan of the concept of these just non-transforming action figures, because I was like, you know, I collected the Revoltex when they were a thing. I built the non-transforming model kits. But in person, they looked like knockoff, not good. Because
wow.
yeah, and like I'm not a hater, you know. I try not to be, right? So for me to say that was a big thing, because I was like, they look like they're because a lot of Transformers are really, really hard angles, but these guys were cast in like very sort of soft, mushy looking plastic, so that did not really work for them. And all the paint on them was like sloppy and peeling and coming off. And I sifted through a whole shelf. So this was like the entire line, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe that's why I'm glad that I got to have a look at those before deciding if I was going to bother going in on that.
So what company made them?
Oh, they're like mainline Hasbro stuff, which is weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, they're like sort of trying to be in the same scale with the same blueprint as like Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series, like that type of thing.
Okay.
And I'm like, those aren't bad, you know. I mean, I'm not super into them, but you know, I've seen them here and there. I've owned a couple. Like, so I was expecting something on par with those, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So it was just very strange.
Yeah. I have to say hello, what's up, and a hello to Calvin, to Calvin, and to Wes. You know, they're dedicated viewers.
Where are they at? Are they on YouTube? They on Facebook?
On Facebook. So Calvin was saying, didn't they do Titans Return version of those two? Which I'm guessing he's asking of Hoist and Grapple.
Yeah. They actually no, neither of them got figures during Titan's Return, but sort of adjacent to it they did, because Hoist had a Thrilling 30 figure, which was the line right before the Prime Wars trilogy kicked off.
Okay.
I don't have it anymore. I had it before I got this version of Hoist. There's comparison pictures in the review I wrote, because I wrote it back in 2020 when I still had that figure. And then weirdly, they didn't make a Grapple, but they made an Inferno in Power of the Primes. But it was just Hotspot with a new head.
That's funny.
Like Minor Wars Hotspot.
That is very funny. I mean, like Hotspot and Inferno are not even they're not even the same vehicle.
Yeah, it worked okay. You know, they gave him a new head, so and they gave him the right colors. So it wasn't the worst repurposing, but yeah.
Yeah, that sounds lazy. Yeah. That's funny.
No, nobody was really sure why they did it that way, but he could combine. You know, that was the upshot.
Right.
Let's see. Combined mode didn't have a name. They didn't give him a name or dedicated limbs. Power of the Primes was weird. It was sort of an afterthought.
I mean, honestly, a lot of the newer figures I can't keep up with. And it's funny watching the transformation for the Magic Cube Minosaur.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there's almost like a 6,000 steps just for Motor Master before you even touch any of the other Stunticons. And I'm like I have Minosaur, and I'm like, I can visually in my head recall all the transformations, and it's not 6,000 steps just for one character. Like, it's insane.
It's like if people are into that, good for them. Like, everybody engages with this differently, but I cannot get with that. You know, that's the type of thing where I would change it once and then leave it on the shelf permanently in whatever mode it was.
Yeah.
And at that point, you know, speaking of Red Series, you might as well get one of those, you know? Mm-hmm. Well, presuming they were, like, made well. Or if you're a third-party guy, get one of those big non-transforming ones they do here and there.
Right. And I mean, it's funny where it's like, you know, people make fun of, you know, Transformer collectors. And I mean, really, as children, you know, you play around with them and transform them here or there. But then the majority of time, you know, when you're like in school or when you're a bit older and work, they're sitting on the shelf. So, I mean, you know, aside of if it did take 6,000 steps to make one of them combine, the rest of the year, like, you know, rest of the year or many years, keeps sitting on the shelf in that form. Like, you're not, unless, you know, 5 years later, you just get that urge, let me transform them, dust them off, you know, combine them back and then put them back on the shelf for another 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I think about part of my quest for the perfect hot rod, which the Studio Series one is that the quest ended. This is great. They need to blow this up and make it the next masterpiece one. Like, they cracked the engineering puzzle with that, but that's besides the point. What I was getting to was my previous attempt at finding the perfect hot rod was Fans Toys Hoodlum, right? Okay. And I remember seeing this guy in display cases at TFCon because they would show stuff off in advance. And I'm like, fixed a lot of the problems of the masterpiece. You know, chest doesn't look weird. Proportions are good. It takes like 40 minutes for me to put him into his car mode.
I'm speechless. Like, really?
Yeah. And like, the problem is, like, half of I feel like 20 of those minutes are me like redoing steps or watching a video of somebody else because, you know, you never remember all the things you're supposed to do even with the instructions. And I'm like, I don't have that kind of time. I don't want to dedicate a half an hour of my life to putting this in the other form.
That's crazy.
So it just sat on my shelf in the admittedly very nice looking robot mode, but you know.
Now, is that the one where the face, like everybody made fun of the face, or does he actually have the better looking face?
I think he's fine. I think he's got a good looking face. That looks pretty TFTM accurate.
Okay, yeah, that's the better one.
Yeah, he did come with a second face because they just sort of half-heartedly did the Rodimus Prime thing. They just gave him like an older-looking face you could also put in, but they didn't change anything else. It was weird. You know, it didn't really super bug me because it was just kind of like an afterthought and everything else was there, so I'm like, whatever.
Well, it's funny because in the G1, in the G1 comics, for I think it was the Transformer universe, like the 4 issues, and the image that they use for Rodimus and for Hot Rod, it's basically the exact same image, and they just added older lines to his face, but everything else is identical. Yeah,
meanwhile, it's supposed to be taller, sharper, proportions a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like great package otherwise because I'm like, you know, it's got the Target Master even, it's got the visor, got the guns, got the saw blade.
Nice.
Just you cannot transform it. It's just not fun to do. It takes forever.
Well, actually, that's interesting, and I guess that's one of those things in terms of you know, if one day they sat down and did like a whole MCU revamp of Transformers, the fact that he has a Target Master figure as Rodimus, because within the G1, he didn't become a target master. He became a target master as Hot Rod, but not as Rodimus. So it's like, I wonder what the storyline is on that one then.
Yeah, it's like, do they switch the order of things, or is it the same? Where he's like, was Rodimus Prime for a while, relinquishes it, then becomes a target master?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the studio series one's very complete, but it doesn't come with one. But they did give him his little guy did get his own single release in Siege, so you can give it to him if you want.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I got it here somewhere. One of the Battle Masters. It was in my big, loud, crunchy bag of accessories. Yeah, here we go. It's got a couple effect parts somewhere too. Ooh. Yeah, that's supposed to come off though. No, it is. It can hold it. Yes, Firebolt.
Right. Okay.
They just released him on his own in Siege long before the new Hot Rod came out.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah. But because you're talking about wanting to be able to just do the transformations, right? And that's half the reason I don't go with the 6,000 step magic squares or whatever. Because like while we've been talking, I changed these guys, right? Just from muscle memory. I wouldn't say I remember how they go, but they're intuitive enough that I could just sort of idly figure it out as I went, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, that's I guess it would be a question of going into the minds of the people who created the original concept of the toys and everything. Because really, we're almost talking like the early to mid 70s. And within that, it's like, are we, were they just more focused on actually creating this toy, or also in the mindset of, if children are playing with these toys, can we make it simple enough for them to transform? Because really, with most of the originals, other than say certain minor transformations, you could almost figure out the complete transformation without the booklet, unless it's say a combiner or like Omega Supreme, and I mean even the combiners. With the exception of Devastator, the rest of them had the Scramble City format. So you kind of, like, once you have one, you kind of know how all the rest of them, come together. But, with this 6,000 transformations, like, you almost would literally need the book every time you want to change them from one form to the other.
Ooh, hold on, my headphones died. Give me a second. Are we back? All right, we're back.
We're back.
Continue.
Right. So I was saying it's in terms of like the original concept and designs of Transformers, making it simple for the children, where it's like now it's, this 6,000 transformation, like steps to transform them. Like you would need the book every time you would want to transform them, unless you really could memorize, all those steps. But I mean, the fact that really, how many times are you transforming that figure? Like a year, in a sense.
Yeah. I was going to say the favorite examples of that is something I would love to see them bring back, and they are sort of bringing back, is right at the start of Beast Wars, the first series of basic figures. I say that because they're reissuing a couple of them.
Okay.
But I think about like Rat Trap and Pterosaur were among these, but they were mostly characters that weren't on the show. And they had spring-loaded one-step style transformations. Well, not quite one-step, because you usually have to adjust some things, but those were pretty much the perfect level of non-complexity for kids, because you just like press a thing and then 90% of it would be done for you, and then you can just figure out the rest.
Right. And And I'm gonna say, like I know the later part of G1, like some characters kind of went that direction as well, where it's either like the almost like the jump starter concept of like pull it back and they just spring like one step and that's it.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, I realized I had a few examples on my shelf because I had some vintage Beast Wars guys. Crocodile Megatron, right?
Crocodile Megatron.
Yeah. They made, before they were a gorilla and a T-Rex, they made these tiny versions of Optimus and Megatron that were a bat and a crocodile, and they were in a versus set.
Interesting.
Yeah. These were a bit of a grail of mine. So I picked them up at TFCon a few years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, like this is what I'm talking about. This is perfect for a kid because you got your alligator here, and then the spring-loaded thing's in the tail, and so you pull it, and it's a bit rusty after all these years. But yeah, and then 90% of the transformation is done. You just gotta fiddle with his hands and legs a bit.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, and that's perfect. Basically, that's what peak performance looks like, right?
That is.
Yeah, and you could take the tail off if you wanted it to be a gun, or you could fold it back to do most of the work to put him back into an alligator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say for Dinobot, was his tail removable in the toy?
Yeah. Kingdom 1 does that too. His tail came off because it turned into his sword and spinny thing.
Yes.
Yeah. The Kingdom 1 over here still does the same thing. He's got the sword. They got the spinny thing, and then
I don't remember the storyline on Dinobot, only because like by the time Beast Wars came out, like I was a bit older, so I didn't have enough time to say fully, pick up on like all the characters' storylines. But what was Dinobot's? Because I didn't like his character.
Well, he was, and this is probably going to be repeated in the Kingdom show, and it is being repeated in the Beast Wars comic by IDW. But he was one of the Predacons who crashed there instead of the Maximals, and then he arbitrarily decided, right at the start of the story, that he didn't like working under Megatron. Tried to do a Starscream, and then got kicked out as a result because they don't play like that, I guess, in the Beast Wars.
Right.
So then he's like, forget it. I'm going to join the Maximals just out of spite for my former teammates. And so he spends most of the show working with them instead, like uneasily, because he's still very much like a Predacon. But yeah, that's just his stories. He's the bad guy that works with the good guys.
Interesting.
And the second season of the show is like, everybody should watch it. So if you haven't, I ain't gonna say what happens, but some stuff goes down with him and his allegiances, and some stuff that happens in the very excellent second season of the show. So
okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put Beast Wars back on my list to rewatch it, because I haven't watched it since it came out from back then. Like that was the last time I watched Beast Wars.
Yeah, I will say I always thought the first season is longer than the other two, and I think it's a bit slow, but still pretty good. And then the second and third seasons are where like the meat of the show is.
Okay. And then when did it change the Transmetals?
It's the second season.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, but like a lot of the season 1 people were still around in the same forums and stuff, and the fact that the show was a bit shorter and that we already had met most of the cast now that the first season was out of the way meant they got like a lot deeper with the serialized storytelling and the characterization. So that's when it really went off the rails in a good way.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, regardless of what any, because like Sunbow G1 has an appeal all to its own, right? But we've watched the story get like iterated in more like concise ways as time went on. With Beast Wars, it's like, regardless of what Kingdom does or the comics do or the new movie does, it's starting from like already like a really good story. So it can't really be ruined as much because it's right there.
Right. I mean, and it's funny. It's like I know we're slowly seeping it into the kingdom conversation, but it's like within the first two parts of the series, it's I mean, you know, like for both of us and like for D and Mike who aren't here, it's like you get used to watching like all of the variations over the years from G1 and like everything else, and then you see these two where it's like they've basically taken bits and pieces from like every storyline that exists and just kind of cram it in there. And I'm like, there's only so much you can cram in within like 5 episodes of one part. It's essentially it's like one episode and like wow, like we've went through like 2.5 seasons and a movie within one episode. Like what's going to happen in the other 4 episodes?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm honestly mostly sticking around with the third part to see the Beast Wars characters, just because this is a novelty. This has not usually been done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like everything's always been separated, so for them to kind of combine it, but again, it's like, you know, now we've fast forward like 30 something years of storylines, and it's like now, or actually, you know, for back then, actually it'd be like 15 years of storylines, and it's like now we've jumped into the Beast Wars. You know, how are they going to incorporate that with, you know, with what exists right now? So it is going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because the IDW comic is not doing this because it's very much, the IDW one's very much like a straight Marvel style retelling of the show. Like if the Marvel comic had come out like 20 years later instead of running concurrently. Okay. But Kingdom and from what we know about the new movie, they're specifically crossing over like Generation 1 and Beast Wars, right? When that's sort of not what the point of the original was, because the point is like Generation 1 is the distant past, and these are the descendants of them who are off doing their own like unrelated thing, you know. And for most of the time, the characters we're familiar with are just like mythic legend figures in the background. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that they cross it over when sort of the point of it was not that they existed concurrently, but that this was like its own little isolated story.
Almost a multiverse, like almost, but not quite.
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, 300 years ago was the thing they said on the show when they were like, "How long ago did the Great War end?" So
right.
Which is not long by Transformers standards because of the 4 million years, but
yes, you know, and I mean, like even in terms of the debate of how well Rodimus was a leader, you know, and some will say, well, Omnimus had like 4 million years, and like, well, but considering he was asleep for about 4 million of those years, you know, it's they were almost leaders within the same time frame.
Yeah. Rodimus had like a year and a half, and then that was it. Depending. Yeah.
You know what a year and a half that was of indecisiveness, but of a lot of growing up within that time.
Yeah. I do wonder, and nobody knows, but I wonder if Rodimus Prime is going to show up in Kingdom, because there's the Commander Rodimus and the Kingdom Lion, right?
Okay.
And the shows thus far, you know, while they try to advertise stuff from each line on purpose, right?
Right.
And you know, they made sure the Titans and the Commanders from Siege and Earthrise both made it onto the show. You know, with Siege it was Jetfire and Omega Supreme, and in Earthrise it was Skylynx and Scorponok, and we saw in one of the Kingdom trailers the Ark is in it because it's the Titan in Kingdom. So I'm like, well, Rodimus Prime's the commander. Is Rodimus Prime going to be on the show? We know Galvatron's on the show.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense for him to be on the show if the fact that Galvatron's on there. But again, how are they playing it off? The fact that we saw Galvatron, you know, come from the future into the, or Galvatron time traveled.
Yeah.
So where does Rodimus fit into this?
Yeah, like I will say, like, well, I don't think it's a great show, but that part of it is really interesting to me because I do want to know more about what happened there. Because he's like, I'm going to come back in time. I need to change something, and then he gets pulled back, and we see in the Kingdom trailers he's back again. And so I'm like, oh, that's cool. What's going on there? Did you ever read Target 2006? It's the old Marvel UK comic.
No, I've only seen images. I've never had a chance to read any of the UK versions.
That's like the only Marvel UK thing I read because, like, maybe in the early 2000s, IDW just did a trade paperback of just that and nothing else because it was a pretty self-contained story, and that's what that was. And that was about because it was set in like 1986, and Galvatron and Cyclonus and Scourge come back in time because they want to stop the events of the movie from happening because the movie was like canon to Marvel UK. It was weird, but like it happened in the future, you know. So they like came back in time and tried to change things and were stopped and eventually went back, and I'm like, oh, this is a reference to that.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it'd be interesting if Rodimus Prime gets a moment to shine on that show because that's a character that really hasn't appeared since the 80s.
That's true. I mean, and if bringing him back in, I wonder how they would make his character. Or what personality they would give his character, if it would be similar to 86, or would they actually improve it like they've done with Ultra Magnus in Prime, and even in this one where it's like Magnus isn't he wasn't indecisive, but it's there's times it's like he was a leader, and then other times where he really just was second in command and wasn't really taking the role as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think he'd put a good turnout in Siege.
That's true.
Yeah. Though we saw his like ghost or something's coming back in Kingdom because he was in that trailer. So
okay, I gotta watch that trailer again. Considering it's a couple days away.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, just like when the subject of canon comes up, I recommend everybody reads the IDW Beast Wars comic. I'm like, people that were dissatisfied with Siege and Earthrise should read IDW's rebooted Transformers comic that started in 2019 and is still going. Okay. And we're like 30-something issues deep now. I'm a little bit behind. I picked them up, but I read them in batches, But like issue 30 of that was very much like a season finale, sort of. So,
okay,
and it's tied into it's doing the Marvel and G1 cartoon comic thing again because it's the same sort of idea, but like different continuity. But it's all specifically like using the same designs because it's also based on Siege and Earthrise.
Right.
Though interestingly, Optimus in that is his big Galaxy upgrade version instead of his G1 looking Voyager. That's the one they used to represent him.
Okay.
Yeah. But like it's the same Megatron and Starscream and Soundwave designs and everything, and that's like the better version of this story because, well, it's not for everyone because it's about how the war started, whereas Siege and Earthrise is like how the war ended, basically. Mm-hmm. But like these ones, which are written by a guy named Brian Ruckley, like they start out with like utopian Cybertron, and we realize it's not quite so utopian because there's like weird restrictions, and it's about Megatron coming to power and everything over the course of like 30 issues, slowly like coming to pieces.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was a slow start because when it came out, that was the thing. But now that we're like this far into it, like 30-ish issues in, the wars finally started. Like it really did work well as like a slow burn. And here's how Cybertron as a civilization works. Here's how it all comes to pieces. So that whereas like Siege started us off with like everything is a burnt out ruin, like we only gradually got there in IDW, and I think it's a stronger story for that.
I think, and honestly, I think that is a better storyline because there's only so many I mean, a lot of shows, even unrelated to cartoons or anything, they'll start you off like right in the middle of like whatever chaos is happening, and then somewhere later on they'll kind of start doing the backstory, and then if they're lucky enough to get into season 2, then they'll go more into a backstory, But I mean, to actually see where everything starts and in a sense from the concept of everything right from day one and to build the whole storyline and all the characters, it pulls you in a lot more because like, well, now I have a better understanding of what's happening.
Yeah. Plus, like, if you're a merchandise guy like I am, you get more stuff. Pretty much everything from Siege and Earthrise is showing up at some point in those pages, just because they have the budget and space and breadth to incorporate it all in there.
Right.
Well, not everything, but a lot of stuff.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like that's the ideal version of the story to me. So between that and the Beast Wars comic, I'm like, if Siege and Earthrise of Kingdom don't turn out so great, it doesn't really bug me because I'm like, there's better stories out there right now doing the same sort of thing.
Let's see. So a couple more comments on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
that's a good segue. What are people saying?
Yes. Well, Wes was saying that he would pass on Sea Spray for another bot. I guess the question is, a question of, if you walked into a store and you had the option, like what characters would you look for? Or say if there was like only Sea Spray, Cosmos, Power Glide, and Warpath on the shelf, like, who would you go for? It's like, I think that's already going to answer itself though, but
probably Cosmos. I like UFOs. He was a neat idea for a character.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's unfortunate people like left him out, and I'm like, he's actually a cool character.
Yeah. Where's his? Yeah. They did a new version of him over in Thrilling 30, and they reissued this guy for Titan's Return.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and he does show up in the pages of the comics, the ones I was talking about, just because they don't just do like the people that are in the toy line. It's just like everybody shows up at some point.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, funky little UFO prankster guy. I feel like it's something I think about a lot. I don't think it's ever shown up in fiction, but his bio said that he would kidnap cows to mess around with people.
What was it? I swear it's like we're the only two people that have caught this, because I've looked back at his bio. He also he will also hover over people's backyards like in the early evenings just to scare them. And I'm like, that's never been played out in the cartoon. Like the 2 or 3 times he's shown up, like he's always crashed or just or just didn't really seem useful, which I think may have played off why, when you go in the store, it's like, well, here's a bunch of Cosmos that nobody wants to buy, because in the cartoon, they sold them to us as almost as a useless character, but yet his bio, like, he's a comedy show in himself.
Yeah. Just causing problems on purpose.
Yeah, and I think if it would be nice if one day someone had the budget, someone had the ability to do an entire MCU revamp on like Transformers, like a movie, like one movie that definitely would work is a movie of just Cosmos, Power Glide, Beachcomber, Sea Spray, and Warpath. Just the adventures of those characters alone.
The Minibot Adventure Team.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, like they'd be fighting amongst themselves, but like you wouldn't be able to beat them either once they team up on whoever's coming after them.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's not quite as tight as I'd like, but I almost got his flying saucer figured out. If you ignore his head blatantly poking out up top, there's a way to get rid of that.
Nice.
I was like, speaking of easy transformations that kids can do, I probably haven't converted this guy in a long time, and I mostly got it to work, mostly.
Which, I mean, again, it's funny with the mass shifting theory, where he's almost like the size of Bumblebee in robot form, but then everyone fits inside of him.
Was he ever portrayed as one of them transporting people?
Well, I mean, actually, I think also in season 3, or was that Skylinks? Yeah, so there's one episode between Spike, Bumblebee, and I think someone else was inside of him, and I believe there's another episode with I believe it was Cosmos with Blaster Outback and and I think there was one other. So the couple times they've shown him, there's been people inside of him.
Mm-hmm. There we go. I did manage to get his head down. I just needed to push it.
Nice.
Yeah. But I'd forgotten that he was a mass shifting guy, but it's been a while since I watched the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And not just the 90s. I mean, when it came out on DVD from Shout, that was the last time I ran through the whole show.
I hear that. I mean, I just went through the whole series, what was it, last year, after like so many years.
Yeah. Yeah, I should yeah, that's an interesting thing. Was that the last series that you ran all the way through start to finish?
You mean Transformers wise?
Yeah.
Yes. I haven't completed the rest of season 3. I think I'm about halfway through it. And then there's Rebirth. But I mean, within everything that was happening like last year, like I actually had time to sit down and watch all of Star Trek: The Next Generation, like the entire series.
Nice. I did that. I did that. Well, not in 2020, but like a year or two before that.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's early 90s when I was growing up. I'd watch Generation 2 before I went to school, and then I watched Next Generation when I came back home. So these were like two halves of the same thing. Yeah.
And it's cool having access to like those older shows and then just getting to rewatch them and then reanalyzing a lot of the things that happen. And I'm like, a few episodes you're like, well, that wouldn't fly today, or what was the character thinking? Because I mean, there's a lot of episodes of Optimus that looking back at it, like, how did I miss this back then? Like he basically just said something that was completely outrageous, and like nobody caught it.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say the thing that I always bring up was when I watched G2 when I was young. There were 2 episodes that I always remembered into adulthood. And then when I rewatched them, I was like, wow, these are some of the weirdest, weakest episodes of the show. One was City of Steel, where they go to New York and Optimus gets turned into the alligator, and then they rebuild him, but he's still missing his arm. Yep. And as a kid, I thought the bit where he doesn't have his arm, but he's like, I don't have a weapon, but I can still transform, and goes and beats them was the coolest thing. And when I watched it in the 2000s, I was like, wow, this is not great. And then the other one, again with the Optimus stuff, was a Prime Target, where the Great White Hunter traps everybody with the most ridiculous traps imaginable. One of them was a billboard that somehow came to life, and
yes.
And I didn't remember the front half of that episode. When I was a kid, I just remembered the back half of the episode. That's just, Optimus going through this gauntlet of stuff, just being like, "All right, I'm done. Let's run this gauntlet. I don't care. I'm just gonna."
Yeah, yeah.
And when you're like single digit years old, I was like, "This is awesome." And nowadays,
Exactly.
I was just like laughing at it.
Yeah, exactly. Like that same, like that was a cool episode when I was younger.
Yeah.
But then watching it last year, one part I remember was like Blaster using a radio to contact the rest of the Autobots, and I'm like, but he has a radio. Why does he have an extra radio? Like, who wrote that in there?
Yeah, it's like I'm not even really hating on the old cartoon because there are plenty of episodes that I legitimately liked. It's just funny that the ones that like stick out to you when you're a kid wind up not being the good ones when you grow up and look at it again, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because it is it's not hate towards the cartoon. Because I know many conversations would be like, oh, the original cartoon sucks and this and that. And like, well, you have to remember back in '84, we only had that cartoon. So it wasn't like, well, I don't like this version, so I'm going to watch the other version of Transformers. And like, there was no other version. Like, it was that or nothing. But I mean, you look back at it as an adult and I'm like, yeah, there was a few things that were just really off, but you still love it anyways because it's you grew up with it and it was a cool concept.
Yeah, I think it was fair for its day. That's how I always put it, right?
Exactly.
And it's been iterated on and improved plenty of times over now because they always come back to it. So
yeah. And I mean, it's like I haven't watched the most recent Fast and Furious, which like I've seen all the jokes about it. And I mean, it's almost again comparing, classic car chases from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where you took actual vehicles and actual stunt people to compare to now, where it's like it's all digital, it's all computer animated. So now we're doing car stunts that are not physically possible but look cool on the big screen.
Mm-hmm. This is the part where I admit that I haven't seen any Fast and Furiouses, unfortunately.
I think almost with every it's funny with almost every movie chain or line there's hit or misses. I think the first one or two were the best ones, and then maybe two or three wasn't good, and then the next one was okay. Cause like I haven't watched, after I watched it, it's like okay, I've watched it once or twice, but then like I won't go back to it. But I mean, like almost every movie line has that. But then you come back to the MCU where it's like, well, out of like say 30 movies, like 27 of them are good. Like they don't have this habit of like put out one good one, have two or three bad ones, and then have one that's kind of half. Actually, I think Star Wars kind of falls like that too. Like I haven't watched any of the Star Wars movies, but I have not, like even the most diehard fans, I've seen complain about them for like almost 30 years now. Like, it's like they hate them.
Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans is the expression I hear.
That's pretty bad. Like then really what are they making the movies for if the fans don't even like it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dee's trying to get in, trying to join us.
Oh, let's see if I can find him here.
And he's been sending voice notes that I can't quite listen to.
Same here. All right, I'm going to send him the link.
This version of Cosmos came with a tiny little space shuttle companion called Payload. I was just trying to figure him out. Surprisingly, the big guy was easy. The little space shuttle was hard because I was like, how do I work this?
Oh gosh.
But no, I got it to work. You can plug them in and have one tug the other.
Oh, that's funny. That looks cool from here.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to continue to show Hoist off to the good people.
Yes.
Example of a C-lister done very well because he's just this like very normal guy, kind of a dumpy looking robot, but he transforms well. He has double jointed knees. He's weirdly expressive for a big chunky robot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm guessing he has like one hand and one cannon, or has there been any version where like he has two hands?
Oh, this version, yeah, he does actually have two hands. They just made it so that the cannon, which just pops in like a standard weapon, fits down over it so you can give him the cartoon accurate tool hand if you want. And Grapple was the same way because he's got the fist and the piston here, but like you can also just take it off and flip his fist forward and just like give a normal hand. They just gave both options here.
That's cool because that's actually the same way with the G1 for Grapple and Inferno. Like they come with the left and right hands, but you get used to seeing them with just with the one hand in the cartoon. So you set them up the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this just gives you like both kinds of options. And it's interesting because like they did a masterpiece version of Grapple, right? Which I did not get to own because I was waiting to see if they put a Hoist out, but then they did these guys. And apparently people that have him say that this Earthrise one is basically just a scaled down version of the Masterpiece, right?
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of like transformation and sculpt and features and stuff. Meanwhile, they never did make a Masterpiece Hoist. Maybe they will. Who knows? Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, if they do, will they take this design and blow it up? Because, they could. That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Right.
Yeah. Because they did a few of those, like Sideswipe and even Earthrise Optimus. They used engineering from the Masterpieces and kind of boiled it down to its essentials.
Okay.
Yeah. In some cases, like what I was saying about Studio Series Hot Rod, I was like, they solved the problems that the Masterpiece couldn't crack, which was giving him like good-looking robot proportions and while not making him impossible to transform. And I'm like, scale this up. Steal this to make a Masterpiece, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if they just kept the design the same and then just, added some more joints, as they blew them up, you'd have like an all-timer on your hands, I think.
Yes. Well, I guess we're just waiting for D to show up.
Yeah, I'm gonna give his voice message a real quick listen.
Okay.
Okay, he wanted an explanation, so...
All right, while we're doing that, let me go back to one of the comments, and there we go. So Wes was also saying that he loves
These headphones. Every time I click away from the screen, hold on a second, they died.
Oh.
I gotta reset them again. All right, I'm back. They don't like me clicking away for a second.
Oh wow.
So apologies. What were you saying?
Oh, it's cool. Wes was saying, I love this kind of conversation. Who the heck gets to talk like this in real life?
Well, go to TFCon once it's back. That's how you do it in real life. Yeah, that's the easiest way for when I have that kind of conversation IRL.
But
like,
mm-hmm. Oh, no,
go ahead. I don't want.
Well, I was gonna say, what was I? I was in one mall out of the city, and there was like one of those swap shops that were open, and I was just walking around looking at like all the electronics and different things in the store just to pass the time. But they had the Transformers movie playing on the TVs. And I don't remember the conversation, but as I was talking to the guy, and I'm like, well, that's cool. You guys are playing the Transformers DVD, but then he's kind of looking at me, probably like, oh, you're just kind of saying that. And I'm like, well, no, I'm into it. And like as we're speaking, the email came in my phone, which was a transformation mode, the sound from the cartoon, and he's like, oh, you're really into Transformers, aren't you? I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm surprised you guys are playing this.
Yeah, I love it when stuff like that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I don't like outside of this group, I don't know anybody in real life that's like a Transformers person, right? Unless I go to TFCon or like with the TF Elite Speed people, which I haven't done in a while because it hasn't been happening. All the people I know that are into this are just like online.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I was gonna say it kind of played out like that when, like, growing up as well. Like I know a lot more people got into GI Joes, and really there's only a small few of my friends I knew that were into Transformers, and even within that few, like, only like one or two that were really into them. Like one friend, he was into like anything that was mecha. So he was the guy that back then he would get the Japanimation versions of Transformers and Master Force and everything, like on DVD, not DVD, on VHS, like just as they came out. Yes, this was like around 88, 89, I believe. So he would go town to Chinatown, get these VHS copies and bring them back, and we were watching this, and like no dubs, no English, but they were amazing to watch.
That must have been, because I hear about like trading tapes like that, and I can't imagine just like trying to watch it without subtitles and just trying to parse the action.
It's you kind of get into it. I mean, only the parts where it's like, say the characters are like, when there's a lot of dialogue, then you're kind of guessing what's happening, and I mean overall you kind of have an idea of what they're saying. But I mean, there was a lot of action, a lot of detail, and in the animation and everything. So it's you kind of overlook that fact that you have no idea what they're saying, but you kind of know what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I that would be an interesting experience for me too. I've never watched anything unsubtitled and tried to parse it. Like nowadays, no need to, because they fan sub. If people are interested, they fan sub this stuff the second it comes out.
That's true. And then it's funny. It's like, as advanced as technology is today, it's like, people will probably like throw it on YouTube, but then how YouTube translates it, it ends up being a comedy show.
Yeah, YouTube's automatic subs are not great. Some people just like rely on those.
Yep. So Calvin has also said T-Rex comes out today at Target.
Oh, really? That good news for Americans, less so for Canadians. Though he's probably going to be carried by Toys R Us because Toys R Us universally carries all the Target exclusives here in Canada. Usually,
Okay.
That's this guy here, Kingdom Megatron in alternate colors, because in 2000, Beast Machines had a lot of random repaints used to fill the line out, right? So the original Beast Wars Megatron was repainted into a new guy, a Maximal named T-Rex, and released in that line, and then. So now, like, because they just did a new Megatron, they're just taking the opportunity to turn what was once an easy repaint into a homage to an easy repaint and doing a new version of T-Rex, making him as a Target exclusive because he's red. There's been this weird trend. Target loves to get figures that are red and do them as exclusives.
Well, I mean, red is their logo and their whole branding.
Yeah. It's just funny how consistent it's been because I think the full list of it has been Siege Redwing, T-Rex, obviously. Who was it in Earthrise? Oh, Thrust, the Red Seeker.
Okay.
And apparently Road Rage, which is the red version of Trax, who's coming out in Kingdom, is also going to be a Target person.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So they've just been like consistently picking those ones.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what I guess other than them using that as a way to subliminally promote their branding. It's like I wonder who in their marketing was like, let's find like all the red characters, especially the red tracks, because I mean, like no one's seen that version in like decades, except for like anyone that had them exclusively.
Yeah, well, they did a masterpiece version just because it was an easy repaint, but that is, believe it or not, until this one comes out, the most easily available Road Rage. So
right.
Though it wasn't popular, weirdly. I remember seeing it at conventions for like blowout prices.
I guess only for the fact of again, it's one of those things. We're so used to the original blue version where it's like, okay, here's this red version, so maybe like the true collectors would would go for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having it available as like a mainline deluxe certainly is a lot more appealing than a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, they did a few of those in Earthrise. Because like Exhaust was an expensive, difficult to find masterpiece, and then they just made an Earthrise version of him out of Wheeljack, like the masterpiece was. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. You did a review on him as well, right?
Yeah. It's a while back. It was another retro one that I dug up.
Mm-hmm.
I went into the whole weird history of the character in that. Or sort of a non-character, because it was a Diaclone that they didn't bring over here, and then they just decided to make a masterpiece out of it like a million years later, and now it's finally getting a mainline one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder how many masterpieces didn't. I guess in a sense, sorry, not masterpiece. No, I forgot the word. Not before Takara.
Diaclone.
Diaclone, yes. Like I wonder how many Diaclones just didn't make the cut to over to Hasbro.
Yeah, well, they've done a few of them because like that's become a favorite like obscure repaint thing. And they did them in Earthrise, and when like in the early 2000s, a lot of G1 reissues got re-released as Diaclone figures. Because it's like, okay, you got Road Rage was one, and then Exhaust was one, and then there was a black version of Trax called Loud Pedal. These are all new names that they gave these Diaclone decos, basically, right? And then there's a red Sunstreaker called Spin Out, and a police Sunstreaker called Cordon.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Actually, wasn't that the same line as the Black Jazz with the gold rims?
no, that was he's from Headmasters technically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he didn't make it onto the show, but that was like a new repaint of him they did back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the other two that I know about are two more they did like three more sideswipe repaints. There was a yellow one called Tiger Track, and then a black one called Deep Cover, and one that was very similar to Red Alert because it was another fire chief vehicle called Clamp Down.
Okay, and it's funny. Like I've seen a few. I've seen a few posts of people who have like basically all of the side swipes, or all versions of the side swipes
From Siege, or
I'm not sure which line. I guess possibly.
Yeah.
So yeah, like basically all the ones that you mentioned, they have them.
Yeah. They've really done them in all the colors of the rainbow the last couple of years by going back to Diaclone and basing them on that. Because you got like, regular red side swipe, black G2 side swipe, and then you got Red Alert, and then you have those like three other Diaclone guys. That's like 6 people. That's a full.
Yep.
That's a full squadron there.
Like just a Lambo army of aside from everyone else.
Yeah, and they're all different colors. So like that's a Power Ranger team right there.
That's funny. Yes. Power Ranger Voltron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a GoBot called Puzzler, and it's one I know about because a million years ago I got to see like a detailed review of him by like a Transformers fan. And it was the same. It was basically the same thing. It was a bunch of sports cars that were really conspicuously the same ones as a lot of the main Autobot cars. Mm-hmm. It was pretty much just like an Autobot and Menasor type combiner.
Yes, and actually, what was cool with Puzzler, and it's funny. I think a few people have been slowly been posting him again. He was a self-contained combiner, which in a sense, like all the pieces were within each of the vehicles. Whereas, like, I think from then when the first combiner. I think when Puzzler was out, that's probably around the time Devastator slowly came out after. So it's like you look at the difference between here's one combiner where all of the pieces are in each vehicle, and then there's Devastator where it's like you need like all these additional pieces to put them together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I've never handled any vintage GoBots, so I don't know how they compare to Transformers. But it was funny that it was fun that they cracked that engineering nut like long before Transformers did.
Yeah.
But then it might be like it might have been that given the construction abilities at the time, going with the removable hands and feet was the better option to make figures that were again like more stable and easy for kids to handle, right?
True. And I mean, when you think about it too, it's like if, say, a certain piece breaks or you lose one, it's like you're not having to replace the entire character, whereas like you're trying to replace that piece. Although back then, say if you lost like, a Devastator hand, you almost would end up have to buy repurchase that Constructicon for that piece because you couldn't just buy the hand by itself.
Yeah. I just think about how like Combiner Wars, the great modern reimagining of Combiner teams, like actually still did use that a little bit. The torsos were like fully integrated though, because like the heads and chests were proper, but like the arms and legs they still had removable hands and feet because they were like it's just better engineering wise.
Yep.
At least that was their thought at the time. But then they also at least made the hands and feet like do things, like they could be guns or shields or whatever when they weren't being hands and feet. So you could sort of pretend there was a use for them.
Yeah, like I noticed that, and it's funny within the G1. I think Yeah, I think Defensor from within Hotspot was the only combiner where the head is not a separate piece.
Really? I've never handled Defensor because he never got reissued or repainted, so I wouldn't know that.
Oh, okay. I actually have actually one part is broken, but I have him here. Actually, yeah. So right there, and again, the half color. Yes, you can tell like which part was transformed, and and the sunlight didn't get to him.
Yeah. It looks like a fancy repaint.
Yep. But right there is Defensor's head. It's actually within the ladder.
Now that's interesting because the one combiner team that I actually have is Victorion, right? And the core figure in that is a retooling of Hotspot, the Combiner Wars version.
Okay.
And so the head of Victorion is in that same spot there on the Torso Bots fire truck mode. So that 30 years, that engineering trick there didn't change. I didn't realize that the G1 version had the head in the same spot until right now.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that they cracked that back then too. I wonder why it was just that one. Yeah, the only Generation 1 combiner team I've handled is Bruticus, because I never had any version of him, but back in the day, when he got repainted into Ruination for Robots in Disguise, one of my friends had him, so I got to play around with him back then.
Okay. Yeah, Bruticus was always I think Bruticus is like a fan favorite of everyone. Yeah,
well, he's the one that got repainted and re-released the most.
Right.
Yeah, one of my well, I say Grail, but I've had plenty of I've seen him available at plenty of conventions. I guess I say Grail as in I hope that I ever find it for like a good price and complete. Is I always wanted to get the crazy Generation 2 repaint of Bruticus, not like one of the new ones, but like the old one that's still the blocky combiner, but with the the really gaudy paintball looking camo splattered around him, because that era is nostalgic for me, and I'm like, that's a fun deco, just because of how weird it is.
But it is funny. It's weird, but for certain characters, it somewhat worked, because then it's he looked more camouflage than the original paints. Yeah,
I was like, I don't know where he thinks he's hiding with that color scheme, but
I know. Well, I mean, that was back then, when even clothing would do that, where camouflage clothing, have like black and red and like yellow and like or pink, and then like, where are you hiding with pink? Like, the style might be camouflage, but the color pink isn't hiding anywhere.
Yeah, with Bruticus, I was like, maybe he wants to be seen. Maybe it's just like his war paint,
Yeah.
Like it's like he's an animal. It's an intimidation display.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was gonna say, I've never seen like re-releases of Predacons, but then I remembered that there are other versions out there. But I know from originally, like the Predacons were their own unique molds that they were sturdy.
Yeah, I always thought it was interesting that they chose to. This was at a point when every other combiner team was, a part of the Scramble City ecosystem, that they decided to make them sort of separate. Were they? Because I've never. Two sets of figures I never handled. I never handled any G1 Predacons. I never handled any G1 Dinobots. Were they the same size? Because I always felt like they were supposed to be. I have no idea myself.
Let me see. Like, I had some of the G1 Dinobots. I had Grimlock and Snarl. And I had all of the Predacons. They were somewhat of the same size. But they were bigger. Actually, I would say about the size of the Hotspot toy.
Oh.
is the size of like one Predacon.
Yeah, see, that's interesting because, like I said, I always thought that they were kind of like supposed to be opposing teams just because they both were like, predator animals, and they both had swords as their weapons, most of them.
Right.
And even if the Dinobots didn't combine until recently, I was like, this feels intentional.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I mean, if they were really going with, like size-wise, then they would have made the Dinobots a little bit bigger. Because toy-wise, I think the Predacons end up actually being a little bit bigger than the Dinobots.
Yeah, really.
But I mean, this is going back in the G1 days when we're making fun of like character scales. When it's like everyone's all over the place.
Yeah. I've seen him in person at toy shows, but it's funny that G1 Galvatron is like gigantic. He's like huge.
Oh yeah.
Compared to everybody around him, Optimus, Rodimus, everybody.
Well, actually, where is between Galvatron and Ultra Magnus, they're I mean, since they were listed as city commanders, like they're about the same size. Because there's Galvatron.
Oh yeah, I forgot about you had one.
Yeah,
how gigantic he was.
But what's funny is someone in another group posted a picture of what was it, Galvatron, Rodimus, and I believe Ultra Magnus and Springer, or like some of the movie characters, and they placed all the G1s next to each other, and then like all of the newer ones. And it's funny just looking at the comparison where it's like Galvatron towers over like everyone else in the scene, but then with the newer ones, like they're all proportionate properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge stickler for figures needing to be like perfectly aligned to the scale charts, but I do appreciate like not having them be like that blatantly out of scale as they were in G1,
Yeah. Well, I mean, Shockwave is about the same size as Galvatron. So even before Galvatron came out, like, we were already making fun of like, well, here's Shockwave. Like, he's like, twice the size of like everyone of even Megatron.
Yeah. He was taller than Devastator.
Yes. Which I think even my Blaster is taller than Devastator, which is also funny.
Yeah, I mean, at least they kind of fixed that up later on.
Yeah. Funny enough, I haven't, because it's been so many years, I haven't put a battery back in Galvatron. Like, I feel like I want to try that before the next episode and see if it still works.
Oh yeah, that'd be exceptional. I don't have any. I got one figure where the batteries that's ancient, where the batteries still work, but it's just a light up thing. I don't know how well it'll show up on stream. There's another guy that I reviewed on the website, and I tried to take pictures of him. Let me see if this will show up.
Which character has died?
Oh, did it die on me? Wow. Like, speak of the devil, I think the electronics on this guy are dead.
That is funny.
Yeah, this is Robot Masters Sideways. He's a repaint of a Generation 2 laser cycle. It's from the early 2000s. Okay. But yeah, this is his tailpipe here supposed to light up when I press a button up top.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, I got him in box like a couple of years ago, and the batteries were still working, and I don't think they're working no more. Hang on, let me kill a light. Oh, yeah, no, he's dead. Dang. For a long time, he was like the guy who was like, oh, this still works, improbably.
That is funny. Well, what I'm guessing, like, would it be like a watch battery or like a AAA?
Yeah, I think so. The compartment's like right here on him, so it's not like super huge. So it's probably one of those. Unscrew it and have a look.
It's funny. Right? It's like I realize, actually, look at it now. Yeah, on the Unicron, like his light still works, and like it's been, I think probably like 15 over 15 years since he came out. But I think he's probably watch batteries.
Like we're gonna see if I can triage this live. I got a screwdriver right here.
Nice.
There's surgery on camera. It's kind of a big screwdriver, but no, it's working. There we go. Lefty loosey. Every Transformers collector should have a couple of star-headed screwdrivers in their possession because it's just the easiest thing when it comes to quick fixes on figures.
Star-headed screwdriver and crazy glue.
Yeah, I got some of that over here too. I got Gorilla Glue.
Okay.
It's all you need.
That's it. Like I think at some point in time that I think I've taken apart like almost all of my characters for some reason or another. But once you have that star screwdriver, like you're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a couple of watch batteries in there.
Nice. You know, I think that's probably the same for Unicron. It's 2 watch batteries. But I'm surprised that after all these years, like the battery's still going.
Oh, thank God! I jinxed mine. I was worried about you jinxing yours and suddenly discovering that it doesn't work.
Although I mean, it's kind of like the lights are looking a little bit faded after so long, but I mean, like nobody's pressed a button for at least a decade, so it's funny. Like some LCD watches, like they'll just go on forever before they finally die. Like I had a few that were just sitting in a box somewhere, and I come across them, like wow, like it's still, this watch is still running.
Yeah. There's I'm just like, oh yeah. I think these need to be replaced. Looks like there's some corrosion on them.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Well, now I know. Knowing's half the battle.
There you go. A simple run to the dollar store. I mean, they've got those batteries.
Yeah, and as soon as his tailpipe / arm cannon will light up again. It's like I'm not big on light and sound gimmicks myself, but I do like when they have like little light up parts like that. It's just a fun little thing to do because I just press the button and it just flick on and off.
Oh, for sure. I think I have batteries in the shelf across from me. I'm gonna see if I have a 9-volt and try this in Galvatron while we're doing this.
Yeah, do it live, I guess. I'm just screwing him back up for now, so the battery's compartment's not flopping out there. This is a figure repair FAQ now. I mean, that's pretty much the extent of my abilities. I can screwdriver things together and apart if I need to. Yeah, probably the most complicated repair I ever did was I got a defective Siege ratchet when I picked him up. His head didn't want to stay together, so I unscrewed it, glued it, screwed it back in, and then it was good as new.
What was that common for him?
No, I was the only, and I checked around. That was the only time I ever heard of that issue was when it happened to me.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the extent of my repair abilities. That's the most complicated thing I've ever done with it. Oh, you know what the third thing is? Every collector should have a small amount of. Actually, this is probably the thing that sees the most use. A little bit of sandpaper. Just a little bit.
Okay.
So that if you need to loosen things, you can reduce their size. Because I was just going to say, every grapple had this problem. Every Earthrise grapple.
Let me zoom in on that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in. I'll show you where it is. There's these 2 orange pegs beside his head. One here and one here.
Okay.
And what they're supposed to do is plug into his legs somewhere. Where is it? I think it's these connections here.
Like in his alt mode.
Yeah, to transform him. I think it's these holes. I might be wrong, but it's somewhere on his legs. But these are the pegs anyway. Okay. And on every sample of him, they are a little bit too thick. So it's a tight squeeze, and the reports that came out were always, people would break their figures because the pegs would get stuck in there and just, break right off of here. So everybody that got a Earthrise grapple would take a little bit of sandpaper and shave these down a bit until it was like a loose fit.
That makes sense.
So that's like the third thing everybody needs. It's like a few screwdrivers, crazy glue, and a little bit of sandpaper.
Well, I mean, I wonder what kind of quality control they went through. The fact that basically everyone had the same issue. Like whatever the core issue was, they just released it that way for everyone.
Yeah, it's probably two things. First of all, it was probably because of, they designed it in CAD on the computer, and when they manufactured it, it probably just came out wrong. But second of all, they were obviously aware of it because when Inferno came out, the Kingdom version of him, it was fixed.
Interesting.
The first thing everybody did was like, does he still have that problem with the pegs? Do we still got to sand it down? And people that got Inferno were like, no, because they changed the head. They changed the back part here too, so the pegs are thinner.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe they'll do another run of this guy and whatever comes after Kingdom and they'll fix it. But yeah.
All right, give me a few seconds. Let me get my my bag of batteries.
Yeah, now I'm interested. We'll see if you can get it working.
Yes.
It's a shame it's not a Tuesday. We could call it Triage Tuesday. Yeah, let me see if I can find that sandpaper. Yeah, right here. I've had this for years. I don't know where I got it. It's just a tiny strip of sandpaper that's not too coarse. And, whenever I need to sand down a peg or something, I just use it. Which, granted, there's always the argument of these things should come out of the package without problems, but nothing's perfect. Going back to G1, there's always been manufacturing problems or weird little defects. Maybe they're systemic, like the pegs, or maybe you just got a bum sample of a figure. It's easy enough to do. Ooh, D just posted a message. He says, blank screen when I click the link.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Okay, we'll give him a minute to hit the link again. I do not have a 9-volt battery, so I'm definitely going to have to run to the dollar store for that for the next episode.
Yeah, now I'm interested. See if you can continue that. See if you can get it working. I mean, I'll see if I can get the replacements for my sideways and get that going too. What are these? These 9 volts as well? Alkaline cell, GPA 76. I don't know. It doesn't say. But they're just button cell watch batteries.
Yeah.
I'll just do like I usually do and just physically bring one with me and just be like, is this it? Is this it?
Exactly. Well, actually, on the watch battery, they usually have a code. I think it's like 2032 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's funny. A lot of the older toys was either double A's, or 9 volts.
Yeah, well, that's what it was during the Beast Wars era. The reason Optimal Optimus had that big weapons pack was because it was a light up feature. He needed to put the 2 batteries behind his head.
Okay. Let's see.
Suddenly this is about triage. Yeah, I've never tried this, but I've always meant to. If you have floor polish, that's what you use to make joints tight that are loosened. Everybody always says that. I've never had opportunity to really do that myself.
I've never heard or tried that.
Yeah, I mean, you can use crazy glue if you want. You just got to be real sure that it's dried out before you put that joint back on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the whole idea is it's like you put a coat of that on, dry it out, and then a previously loose joint that you pop back on will be good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with crazy glue, it's like you have to be exact. But I mean, I've had a few figures where it's like you put on crazy glue and you kind of mess it up, but then you still figure out how to save the mess up eventually.
Mm-hmm. So this is why I will never ever do any custom paint jobs on anything. I have great respect for people that can. That is far out of my skill set.
No, it's a lot of time in taping off everything, making sure it's correct. It's not that's something that takes hours and days and then possibly weeks depending on the figure or what kind of paint job you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that because you got to be able to disassemble it. I think because the best way is probably to paint individual parts.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then again, also with taping certain parts of the joints too, because then you don't want paint to get in the way either.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think about that paint gumming up the works.
I sent the new link. I think I may have sent them a different link before.
This is going to be an 11th hour thing because it's like it's getting on in time.
I know.
Maybe we'll tag in and tag out.
I think that's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to probably. So I was gonna say I got a big Order of Kingdom stuff coming in from EB Games, like I said, because I've been getting this stuff online.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't manage to get a pre-order of Kingdom Rodimus Prime, which is probably my biggest want. So I got to camp out on the website the day it comes out, which is like the 1st of August, and see if I can secure one that way.
Okay.
Yeah, and if not, I just got to wait for it to hit brick and mortar stores, which like in the good old days, which were not so long ago and were not so good.
The good old days of 2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah, I mean, it was something to do, but I'd enjoy going and seeing what I could see, but I didn't enjoy trying to wait for things to hit Canada.
Yeah, it's and I mean, there's a lot of things that's been like that. Even when I used to DJ before, a lot of music kind of had the same issue. There we go. It's like stuff was available in the States, but to get it in Canada, you're waiting months later for it to ever reach here, if it even reaches here.
Oh, there you go. We got you now.
There you go. Professor D is in the building.
Okay, this is clearly intentional. But you have your.
Is it?
You've got your sound weak. I mean, it sounds close enough to Soundwave that the gimmick is there, but it sounds bad enough that it really could be a glitch. And it's not like we ain't never had no glitches in here.
the eternal beta test. What do we sound?
Oh, you can't both
too?
have it. No, guys. You can't both have it on. If you both have it on, even if it's intentional, it's a motherfucking glitch, okay?
Change the input on your headphones. Whenever I get weird audio processing things, it's because I told it to go the wrong way.
Oh, it's because of me?
Well, that's a possible solution.
This only happened since I showed up?
I mean, everything's sounding clear to me, though.
Yeah, everything's fine on our end.
you don't hear that your sound sounds fucked up?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's messed up on the stream end because I check that occasionally.
Good. So then you don't know what I'm talking about?
Don't.
Okay, what I'm hearing. Oh, well, then I gotta tell you. Then the glitch is hilarious.
I mean,
What I'm hearing. No, listen. Let me tell you. Wait, let me turn off this fan. Maybe.
Do you both sound like Soundwave?
Yeah. Like there's like this. There's a weird echo. Spin, can you make sure that you're not sending me the sound like multiple times on your end?
I don't think it is, because we're basically into one room, so you shouldn't be hearing it like multiple times.
I'm just saying you make sure. You just look at the thing. I'm not saying, is it your guess? It's obviously not your guess. I'm saying just you check and I'll check.
Yeah, I just listened to the Facebook stream a second ago, and it still sounds fine.
Happy to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't caught up to your arrival yet, but so we'll see. But
I can't, guys. I can't troubleshoot my stuff if you're talking to me. So you guys talk amongst yourself, and Spin. You just confirm. Don't tell me that you don't believe it's on your side. I'm not saying it is on your side. I'm saying I'll check my side. You check your side, and you guys don't talk to me while I'm checking my side.
Okay, so don't talk to him while we're talking, but we'll talk while we're not talking to him.
You can talk to each other, yeah. That's fine. Just don't talk to me while I'm trying. Well, you're telling me the problem's on my side. Then I gotta find it. So don't ask me other things.
There's this early stream where the audio was doubling for everybody, and I remember just turning on the Facebook feed, and it just blew my head off, and I just burst out laughing.
Stop talking to me. Brilliant. Oh, you sound so pleasant now.
See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Shut the fuck up more often when I tell you. Okay, desktop.
Anyway.
That's what's happening. I'm playing the desktop.
See, we're supposed to ignore him, but we can hear him very clearly.
That's the whole reason why I'm using headphones. So that shouldn't be a problem.
I'm going to take this opportunity to show off exhaust vehicle mode now that I just finished transforming him.
Oh, you guys like it when I think out loud.
Yeah.
See how it feels? Very disruptive. Motherfucker's supposed to think inside your head. That's what the fuck you got a head for, to think inside it.
Nobody's thinking inside their heads right now.
No, we're supposed to think outside of the box.
Yeah, we're making sure there's no radio
silence. Is your
silence.
head a box? Because that's a fucking problem. If you're Soundwave, I'll grant you. Otherwise, in order to spit that wisdom, you must have a wise dome.
Yeah, we all saw that one.
Okay, so just to confirm, you guys are hearing. Do I sound fine on your end and on the stream end?
You sound fine on my end. Give me a moment to quadruple check the Facebook end.
Yeah, just. Are we streaming only on Facebook, or are we also on YouTube?
We're on YouTube and Facebook.
Cool.
All right, I haven't checked YouTube. I don't have the link open. It's fine.
Are you saying nobody has checked it? Listen. Where's Professor D? Boom! Motherfucker back!
Comes and goes.
Got a bunch of
like
Flavor
the
Flav
wind.
gags I'm getting ready to do. Boy,
So somebody's gotten their sleep for the day.
I just don't know why. Okay. I'm engaging you when I haven't solved this problem. Just give me a minute. I gotta figure out what's going on with my headphones. I'm muting myself. That way I can't.
There we go. Now we're gonna see like visual gags and shit.
I was saying it's so nice to see you guys.
We appreciate the love and support.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he's squirting us with a water gun.
Such a retort. Love and support. Now you.
He's doing his own radio edits.
Yeah.
I don't know how to come back from that. Let me talk about.
I was actually going to say it's funny you mentioned your own radio edits. I remember there was a couple shows and a few artists that have the ability to do that, where it's like within the middle of a show, like you can hear them edit their lyrics and whatever verses to for the crowd and like take out whatever swear words as they're performing it, and it's quite interesting to hear it.
Like a 7-second delay, maybe.
Well, in their head.
I don't know how that's possible. I mean,
I'm thinking of a teacher who had a 5-second delay in his head when he was teaching certain courses, and it was quite interesting to see it happen.
he's just pointing and gesturing. Let me.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna point, you may as well gesture. I mean, why are you gonna point and not gesture? That would be, you know what that would be? That kind of pointing would be pointless.
Well, has anyone ever said gesture and point?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Guess what, Spin? I have my microphone, my Focusrite muted, and yet you can hear me.
Oh boy, not that again. Who's on second?
Yes, that again. But here, this time I know what's happening. You're hearing me because the Focusrite is going through this OBS Ninja interface, but it's muted on my OBS. So, like when I play back this recording, my voice will not be on it. So it'll be like one of these funny things where your voices are on it, I'm talking to you, and my voice is not on it. Do me a favor, say nothing for a second. Actually, mute both of your mics. Mute.
That's too easy.
I asked.
No, nothing.
It's you lose points because of how stupid it is, but I did ask for it. Okay, so
nothing.
Can you guys mute both of your microphones for a sec? I want to see what the readout looks like over here.
All right.
Okay.
Your microphones are muted right now.
My mic is not mute. I have to get to my screen to mute it.
The tech guy is taking a while to just mute the mic. Okay. All right. Spin. Is all this fucking noise coming from your end? Mr. Anthony, quit spinning around. Otherwise, I'm going to call you Mr. Spinner. And then we'll have Spinster and Spinner. And, actually, you'll end up as the Spinster, which you don't want to be. So, Anthony, bring your mic back on.
Hello. What's up?
Oh, that's weird.
Oh, you hear my cat.
Tell me what you're reviewing tomorrow.
Thrilling 30 Night Beat. It's a weird random pull because we happened to be talking about him last week. I pulled him off the shelf and I'm like, I'm going to write this guy up. Oh, I just dropped his gear, but that's all right. There's a rumor that he might get a new figure in the line that comes after Kingdom, which is going to be called Legacy. So I decided to look at the last attempt at this guy, who was released back in 2014 and is actually Bumblebee with a new head, even though he doesn't look like it.
That's a Bumblebee?
Yeah, it was, but a new head and a new color scheme, can change a lot. It was like a movie G1 hybrid, so he's got the door wings and the Camaro looking alternate mode, but That's Nightbeat. That's the detective from Marvel and IDW. The hard-boiled mystery solver. And it was supposed to be a headmaster. This version wasn't. He did get a single-packed headmaster during Titan's return. But yeah, this was an interesting figure because they sort of were taking advantage of the fact that this Bumblebee didn't look much like a Bumblebee, so they were like, "Oh, I put a different head on him. He can be any Autobot car." So they just started doing that, and then that's why they made a Nightbeat out of him. So it's interesting in that context, and that'll be coming out tomorrow.
Cool. And what did you do? What did you do last week?
Well, on Friday, I dug up Earthrise Hoist from 2020, so I had a look at him.
Dug up? That's how Earthrise Hoist is that old?
Well, come on. I was saying I got the review that I wrote and got was from like early 2020 before everything popped off, so it feels like I dug it up. Yeah, what did I do the Monday before that? I don't remember what I'm writing myself. I throw too much out there into the world.
You still hear me right now?
Yep. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. All right. So let me tell you what I'm hearing on my end, which is still.
What you still hearing?
Hold on. Mute your mic again.
All right. Give me a second. I was just up on a different window, and
you guys need some more windows. Okay. All right. So just nod if you're still hearing me, right? Okay. What I was checking is if you guys are muted, do I still hear myself if I'm muted? So give me one more second here. Now I'm going to unmute my mic on my end here. Boom. Okay, now I'm coming through here. Okay. All right, so Anthony, unmute your mic again, but don't say anything. So turn your mic on. Is it on now? Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to see if I mute my mic on my end, I just want to see if I get the readout here. Yo, check it out. Check it out. Check. No, I'm not affecting your readout, so I have to do this. Okay. I was just making sure I'm not doubling my voice on my end. Okay, so here's what's happening. That's different than with Spin. When you talk, right now I'm hearing no noise. Like this sounds normal. But when you speak, I'm still hearing a weird effect on your voice. And I checked my settings here, so I don't have any weird effect going on. Apparently, in here in OBS Ninja, in this room that you have us in, I can choose my video source, blah blah blah, and then I can do digital effects, right? So I could do the virtual background or whatever. You guys all know about that already. Digital green screen.
Mm-hmm. Most of your head has vanished.
Yeah, I'll mess with that later. No effects applied. So so that's not the problem. But it's almost like you have a noise canceling feature on your mic right now. So that it's the background noise is naturally being cut off, sort of like a speakerphone. But Spin, when you put your mic, but every time you talk, it's like you have the sound wave effect on your voice. And the same thing is happening with Spin. But I guess as I'm talking it out, it must be on my end because that's the only reason why I would be hearing it on both of you.
Yes.
Well, there's a compressor setting, so that may be what it is. But it's funny that I'm not none of us are hearing it though.
Do you currently have it on?
It's currently set on the invite links. But I was surprised that you're the only one that's hearing it and not the rest of us.
I might be the only one wearing professional headphones. Are you you're wearing earbuds?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder if just Anthony, when you check the sound, like you might just not be checking it carefully enough. But let's not dwell on it. If it seems fine enough for you guys, let's move on.
And I would like to confirm YouTube works fine. After you brought it up, I went over and checked that, so that's running fine too.
Okay, cool. All right. So how about seeing as I spent all this time talking about this issue, I won't. Oh, let me ask. Where's Mr. Orlotti?
He's unknown.
Unknown.
We do not know. He's vanished into the
MIA?
ether. Yep. MIA. Missing in action.
Well, maybe Tony Soprano is going to pop up at some point in the stream in that case.
Yeah.
If we don't have an explanation, that then maybe it could mean something. All right. So for those just joining the stream now, such as myself, why don't you fill us in on what you guys talked about up to this point?
God, a lot of stuff. I will say probably the weirdest thing that happened is we both started doing live surgery on our figures to get them working. Yeah.
I don't have an explanation that
Oh, what is? Okay, there we go.
Sorry, this is YouTube. I got playing right back here.
Yeah, I was talking about like electronics still working in figures, so I brought out my Robot Masters Sideways, who was supposed to have a working thing. Discovered it didn't work. Just unscrewed his battery compartment,
Hold it
popped it
down
out
a
on
little.
stream.
You were cutting it off a little bit from the camera.
Yeah, I just popped out his battery compartment on stream, and he went to get his Galvatron and open up his battery compartment. So we started fixing figures.
That could be a thing.
Yeah,
That could be like a repair based stream. We could actually
The conclusion that I reached during the stream is that every person needs to have 4 things when they're collecting Transformers to keep them in shape. Thing number 1 is a good couple of screwdrivers with like a star head like this one here. Because I'm you need to tighten something, you need to get into a battery cover. Thing number 2 is, some crazy glue. I got that over here. And thing number 3 is...
It would be crazy not to have that.
Yeah. And thing number 3 is a little bit of sandpaper. Mm-hmm. For all those pegs that need to be shaved down. This is probably the thing I've used the most. And I don't remember what the 4th thing was, if there was 4. But I'm sure it was really relevant.
Let's see, you got a screwdriver. What about a pin? What about a pin? What do you call that? A pin puncher? Pinhole?
I know what you mean. I don't have one of those. That's like a specialized tool.
It's not a must-have. That's like okay, if you're gonna get serious about it.
Yeah, that's the next level. I'm like the.
What is that called?
Those are
I guess for the newer figures, do they still have pins as the G1 figures would? Because for G1 for sure you would need that that to push the pins out.
Yeah, I was going to say and
there's an actual tool. Like you can buy it, you can order it. Maybe it's called the pin punch. I'm not sure. It's something like that. Yeah. You can order it on Amazon.
Oh yeah,
that's like some next level stuff, right? Because the rest of this is like dollar store level things, save for the screwdriver. But everybody should have screwdrivers, so you probably already got one.
Yeah.
Do I have the screwdrivers?
Yeah, exactly.
Ben can tell you, I am not the man that you will find lacking in tools.
Mm-hmm.
This is correct.
You do know what they say. The right tool for the right job.
Yeah.
Unlike that conversation last night. We'll save that for another day.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but a pin puncher is definitely like a specialized thing. So it's like good if you can get it, but I don't have one. I don't have any need for one unless I was really interested in getting into modifying and fixing up figures.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to get one.
Maybe we'll make Children of Primus branded pin punchers at a certain level of our Patreon.
Why
Hey,
not?
Spin, thank you for you got the windows in such a way where we don't have a whole bunch of blank screen.
Yes. And
Well done.
that was a quick fix. And always room for improvement.
Agreed. How am I going to argue with that? All right, so let's see here. Can you see? Let's see, if I put a timer on this smaller screen beside me, let's see if you guys can see it. Nope, not that window.
Is it near or far?
Oh, well, I'm going to try and make it as big as possible. This way we can, like, we can do segments and time them. Okay.
Oh yeah, I can see that pretty clearly from where I am.
Oh yeah, that's
It helps that it's like a plain background. So
yes.
Right. I gotta zoom out to start it, but then I should be able to full screen. Boom.
When you get into the people who start doing designing and they put like a yellow on white.
yeah, or just something like that. That's nice and easy and readable.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, here's what we're gonna do. We're going to debate this rather, I think, callous claim, Spin, that your boy here, Anthony. I mean, he's Orlati's boy, but Orlati's not here, so your boy.
I'm the Italian representative.
Yeah, there you go. Check that shit out. Boom. So this guy said you don't need the pin punch. We'll call it a pin punch. I think that's what it's called. All right, we're debating this for minutes. You each get 2 minutes. No, less than that. I'm gonna take 1 minute to lay out the debate.
All right.
You're each gonna get 1 minute to give your arguments for and against. And then I will give my verdict, which will be guilty, in the last minute, and give the sentence because I'm Judge Dredd. All right, so 30 seconds, here it is. Back in the day when we were kids, this pin punch was not something that we could readily get. It's not something that even to our knowledge existed. But now you can get this shit. It probably costs you $10 or $15 from Amazon. And a large number of the figures in your collection have these pins. A lot of things can't be modified with screws. So it's obvious to me, I'm cutting into my Judge Dredd time, it's obvious that you should have this tool. However, there are a lot of modifications, I gotta be balanced here, have been done by us over the decades without this tool. So maybe you don't need it. Spin, you're going first because this guy has had the nerve to say you don't need this tool when it's only $15. You got 1 minute to make your best argument.
The best argument of why you need this tool?
Correct.
Okay, in 1 minute, I mean...
As a Transformers collector and a respectable Transformers collector.
Okay, as a Transformers collector, especially from the G1 era, you do need this tool. If you're fixing any figures that, say, may have fallen off of the shelf or anything, but having the engineering mindset, you end up creating tools when tools are missing, thus using either a paper clip or a hairpin, which you then shave down the end of the hairpin to push out that pin. So a tool would be required, but with it being inaccessible back then, you create the tool.
You got 7. All right.
I have 7 seconds left.
You're a fucking failure as a fucking lawyer. Let me just say that. You're making the other guy's argument. Anthony, see if you could sabotage yourself in 1 minute as well as he did.
Okay.
Why do you not need the tool?
Sorry, why do you not need it?
It's more of a case of
Spin, you were
what
supposed
level
to say
of,
why you need it, and you went on a fucking tangent of giving him all the arguments for why you don't need it. So I'm sorry I'm cutting into your time, Anthony.
Okay.
You still get your full minute.
Most of these tools that I brought up are generally useful. You know, Gorilla Glue, sandpaper, screwdrivers. If you're not doing Transformer stuff, I guarantee you can use them for stuff. Pin puncher is a specialized thing for one job only, so you're only getting that if you're going to be fixing figures. So you got to question, how often are you going to need to fix figures? How often are you going to need to use a pin pusher? It's another. Do you know how? Like, are you going to break something when you do so? How often do you have a defective figure where the defect is the result of a pin? So it's a cost benefit analysis, right?
$15 fucking dollars.
Is that?
I'm just shouting. You still have your time.
All right. I presumed you were making a point. You know, there's a lot of different types of them, and I know for a fact some of them
All
are
right.
more than
In
that.
summary, 10 seconds. What's your best argument?
Specialized tool for a specialized job. Are you going to need it enough as opposed to the other tools, which are just general use things that have many non-transformer uses?
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I could debate that.
I would like to know that.
You could. I'm sure, but you didn't, my friend. You didn't.
All right.
You fucking argued on his side. I'm gonna try to just give my verdict in 1 minute. Anthony won the debate by default, not because he did well, but because Spin started arguing on the other side. However, you are both guilty because you did not speak to the resolution at hand. The resolution was, do you need this as a respectable Transformers collector? And neither of you conducted yourself as anything near what anyone could refer to as a respectable Transformers collector. You spoke as motherfuckers who neglect your Transformers collections, and you're lucky I'm not Serpentor, because I would come there and fucking melt your collections down and rub it in Cobra Commander's face. Because he threatened to do that shit, and he ain't done it yet. So guilty.
Guilty of what?
Of not being respectable Transformers collectors.
Eh?
And not speaking, you were summoned to the court.
What would the
present-
Quintessence say about this?
Guilty, which is what the fuck I said. Now, remind me of something, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, in the Japanese Headmasters animated, who blew up Cybertron? Was it Galvatron or was it the Quintessons?
It was Galvatron.
Galvatron wasn't like trying to stop it. He wasn't like running there trying to stop that bomb or something.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact sequence of events, but I do know the Quintessons weren't involved. It was all him.
No, I remember now. It wasn't it Galvatron was trying to stop it. Wasn't it Scorponok
Yeah,
who decided to blow it up? And he
Galvatron
had Ratbat plant the bomb, and then Galvatron found out, and he tried to run in and defuse it, and he got blown up.
Yeah, because he was missing and presumed dead after that, and Scorponok was in charge for a while until Galvatron came back on a UFO for some reason.
Yeah, how did he... And they didn't give any explanation of like how he survived the blast at the center of the planet.
I guess he's just that hard, you know?
So then how come Cybertron didn't just come back?
Yeah.
Cybertron ain't that hard.
He's tougher than a planet.
Remember, Megatron took on a planet at one point.
Yeah, I'll give Megatron that. Like, I'll say Megatron's tougher than a planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Galvatron survived getting blown up on with a planet, and then he got killed by being buried in an iceberg. Headmasters was not known for its internal consistency.
Well, who's to say he doesn't eventually come back from, being killed by an iceberg?
Yeah, he does. That's how he becomes Super Megatron.
Well, there you go.
That's another story.
As they say.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another story. What show is that from?
That is not from a show. That is from the Return of Star Convoy manga, which,
That's not where I know it from, because I never watched that or read that, whatever the case is.
Yeah, it only recently got a North American release as part of the 3-volume manga series that IDW put out, where they collected all the 80s stuff. But yeah, it was in like 1990, and it was a manga and story pages and stuff, and he got resurrected back to life. Oh, hey, Snake Eyes and Roadblock?
That's my guess. And Quick Kick.
Oh yeah.
Doing I guess they're like practicing together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looks like Snake Eyes is winning.
Well, Snake Eyes always wins.
Yes.
I don't know much about G.I. Joe, but I know that. I know for a while the comic was called G.I. Joe featuring Snake Eyes, and Snake Eyes was in the big letters.
So Snake Eyes always wins.
Yeah.
I wonder how the movie's going to turn out.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be terrible.
They were trying to have their Bumblebee moment, and so only time will tell if it works out for them the same way.
Right.
I hope it will not be terrible.
Well, there was an article on the potential of G.I. Joe and Transformers crossing over.
Yeah, I've been saying that forever. I'll
No, I
believe it
know.
when it happens.
Yeah.
Was the article any good?
I
only saw the headline. I didn't look into it.
They were like making noises about making noises about that ever since Rise of Cobra came out back in the day. They're like, oh, maybe they'll show up with the Michael Bay ones. Never say never. It didn't happen.
Spin, can you try something? Is it easy for you to just toggle off that compression that you were telling me about?
No, because that would require everyone logging back in and then sending you links.
Okay. I'm noticing when I'm looking at here. Let me show you. I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if it's the same on the Facebook stream, but on the screen behind me, I'm not playing the sound, so we don't get feedback. But here's our current stream. And I think even this has happened in a lot of our streams where even when the sound is okay, the movement is really jittery. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but it's like not smooth at all.
Okay, I can
frame
see
rate.
it.
Yeah, the frame rate is like really bad. Which when the sound is okay,
Yeah.
then it's still listenable. We had that one episode where whatever the equivalent is of the frame rate of the sound was so slow that it wasn't even listenable. But we've had a number of them where the sound is okay, but like where the frame rate is so bad. So we got to try to troubleshoot this. And I don't know, we don't have to talk about it now, Spin. I'm just sort of like noting it. You and I can talk about it after. But my guess is it has to do with streaming it from Canada, and ultimately, coming from your, slower connection.
Well, it's actually not in Canada anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when I do a stream, from here, I don't have that issue.
Right, but in the terms of where everything's set up, it's actually in North Carolina.
Okay.
So
that's where the server is, but you don't think that you running your okay. Yeah, but you're using OBS, which is running from that server?
That is, it's actually on a separate server, so everything's virtual. So the only part that's actually on the Canadian side is just my camera.
Right, and Anthony's.
Correct. So
it's
yeah.
reception of my igloo.
Okay, so then
it's just troubleshooting what's causing that frame rate delay.
Yeah, exactly. But what you're talking about, that's exactly what we talked about. Like in theory, should solve the problem. So I guess it's just more troubleshooting.
Which is funny because doing it the virtual way, like when you do an internet speed test to see like what your megabits are per second.
Yeah.
It's the difference between 40 and 800.
Bam. Okay, so it's gigabit.
Yeah.
Nice. So then it's really weird. What is going on with this frame rate?
Exactly. So it's always one minor thing to assess, but we'll figure it out. I mean, we're a lot further than we were like before.
Yeah. So you don't think it's like this room that we're in right now? Mm-hmm. Is this not like sending all our data to you, and then from you to, in order for you to control it the way you are? Mm-hmm. You don't think that's the bottleneck? Like my data is going to you and Anthony's data is going to you, and then it's all going to North Carolina from your bandwidth?
Possibly, but I don't think so, because I actually, since I know you guys are on the stronger connections, I have a different link where it's like I'm not seeing the room. It's only just picking up my camera.
Cool. So how long into the stream are we?
Oh, we started at like 8:45. So
I had set the alarm for when it started, and I was like waiting. Since 8:30, I was like here with my setup, like waiting for you to call. But apparently, you guys wanted to. Hey, we got one extra subscriber.
Nice.
There's 8 subscribers now.
it's all coming together.
Yep.
I'm not doing this for the fame.
Well, it's good that at least there's one thing, Anthony, that you're not doing for the fame. Everybody has to have their one sort of charitable thing that they do. It's just strictly for the love.
Bold of you to imply that there are other things that I'm doing for the fame, apparently.
Oh, you caught that? You caught that, did you? So I can't sneak anything by you, as they say. So, Anthony, did you see that I found out yesterday, and I was talking to Spin about the fact that there was a conference, which was, I don't know if it was may have been entirely based. Spin, you're killing me with that noise.
Someone's shooting fireworks. I have no idea why.
So why don't you just keep your mic just click on the mute button and keep it muted till you're gonna speak, and then unmute. Because it's a lot of noise.
Or it's Anthony transforming something.
Oh,
I am doing that, but
Oh, we had a lot of that earlier, just transforming sounds.
Yeah, I am hearing the transforming sound.
Well, it's a Transformers channel. It should be assumed that at some point, you're going to hear transforming sounds.
yeah.
Okay,
You don't find the dulcet tones of
Go ahead and
plastic
keep
crunching of a
transforming.
puzzle.
Let's see where it's coming from. Spin, can you mute your mic, and Anthony, you continue transforming.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying intentionally to be noisy.
Okay, yeah, but it's still so I am hearing that, and I'm hearing that compression on it. But Spin, it's your end where all that noise is coming from. Can you not just maybe you could just turn down the gain on your microphone? Spin? Yeah, that sounds really weird now. Now I'm just literally hearing there's no background noise, and all it is like
All the plastic. Yeah. It's just,
I'm gonna have to play it for you. You guys, I'm recording on my OBS, I think. I hope. So I'll play it for you guys. And yeah, I am.
I record nothing. No records of me shall ever exist.
Yeah, well.
I know it doesn't work like that.
I'm a little like concerned about the trail of incompetence we're leaving on YouTube for our 8 subscribers over the past months. Let's go back to what I was saying. Guys, keep your mics on mute until you talk. All right, let's try and get in the habit. Just mute your mic and we switch back and forth. Tell me this. Once you got your mics muted, according to what you hear, there's no noise, there's no background noise coming from my end, or is there? Nothing. So get your monkey asses a pin punch and some professional microphones. How about that? Okay. Just a friendly suggestion. Friendly neighborhood. Rasta man. Okay.
I have a pro mic. I just haven't set it up yet.
Well, that is a lot better, isn't it? No, it's not better.
Are you still hearing a lot of feedback? I turned it down.
Your mic is on now?
Yeah.
Much better.
Okay. It was the gain within Windows, so it's not even a camera, which is funny. It's automatically going up on its own. That's weird.
It's not weird. It's smart.
No, it's not smart. Imagine recording a song and the gain's naturally going up on its own. Like, that's a messed up recording that would have to be retaked.
What it's doing is you've turned it down enough to get rid of the noise, and the algorithm is turning it up enough so that your voice can be heard, but so that we don't get our ears and our stream messed up with all the squeakiness of your chair and the sound of your fan and the clickety clackety of your keys. But let me stop complaining because just like the transforming sound, which belongs here, the clickety clackety of your keys in the previous recordings, almost like if there wasn't all the rest of your background noise, the clickety clackety of your keys almost sounded intentional.
Interesting.
It almost made it also seemed like a Transformers themed thing.
Okay. Funny. I was gonna say, almost like when those call centers call you, and I'm like, I swear they have like just the sounds of like a room full of like yelling people in the background. I'm like, there's no reason any of that should be happening if I'm talking directly to someone.
Correct. Luckily, that's not what your keys were reminding me of.
No.
But yes, thank you for turning down the gain. That's awesome. Anthony,
and now we say nothing. Now there's a lot of the conversation.
I mean, I have a lot of things to say, but I wanted to talk about the conference yesterday, the bots thing.
Yeah.
Which I suggested be our topic. But it's just really hard for me not to say that. There are people watching us right now.
Yeah.
So it kind of seems more logical. Part of me, I do want to talk about that. But part of me wants to, we may as well spend this time while we're here together to actually troubleshoot the problems. We may as well treat this as an in vivo, rather than saying, okay, we're going to get together and run a test. We may as well call this a test, seeing as not only are we missing a cast member, we're also missing the purpose of having a cast, which is having an audience.
Well, we've had an audience. There's our man Calvin has been in the been in the comments, and Wes was also here too.
You mean today?
Yes,
Yeah.
today.
There was a period there where we were just replying to Facebook comments.
Yep. So we've had a conversation with them, so to speak.
That's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I mean, so either way, like we can talk about this. You know, I wanted to talk a little bit about this conference that happened.
Yes.
And, yeah. And then, I think we should try to troubleshoot this lag, but it's up to you guys. You know,
Well,
if you don't
I would
vote
like
for
to hear
that,
about this conference.
yeah, let's talk about. Let's do that now. We'll talk about the conference now, and then for your consideration, you know, that's the other thing we could do tonight. You know, before calling it a night, if you want to. Anyway, I'll tell you about the conference. So it was called. Spin, do you have the link? It's called Bots at Home. Let me see if I can. Oh, let me put it up on the screen here. Okay, sorry, I'm jumping around with my thoughts. Spin, do I have the ability? What would happen if I called somebody on Facebook and brought them into my OBS?
It just seems like the premise is like, what would happen if I called someone and like it just seemed like the lead into a joke, like of some sort. Like
I understand.
sorry.
You're just ready to laugh. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No matter. I'm actually trying to ask a question. Let me just do this again.
But if you call someone on Facebook and bring them in your OBS, I could bring them on your screen. The question is, if you can bring the sound through, then they should also be in here as well.
That's what I'm wondering, is about the sound. Okay, so let me tell you about the thing first, and then we could call somebody in Germany who was part of the conference. Anthony,
is he available?
No. Okay, Anthony, I'm filling you in about this. So Spin, I'm assigning you the job right now of determining what time it is in Germany right now. So Anthony, yesterday there was a full day, like 12-hour conference of this thing called Bots at Home. It's the second year in a row that they did it. They did it 2020, They did it 2021. If you Google the hashtag, or not Google, if you search the hashtag either on YouTube or in Facebook, you should be able to find the schedule. And if you check it on YouTube, you should be able to find a playlist of 16 or 17 events. And so it's different people with like relatively small Transformers YouTube channels, not quite as small as our huge personality channel, but a bunch of like small channels. The biggest reviewer that I know that was on there was Ben. I don't know if you know Ben from Ben's Collectibles.
I don't know.
So he's dope. I've been watching him for years. I want to talk about his video. So maybe there's 2 or 3 that I would talk about. Maybe I'll play you guys a clip, and then we could talk about it. And Spin, do you know what time it is in Germany right now?
It is 5:20 in the morning.
So unlikely that dude is up, but he might be up at 7.
If we're still on for another 2 hours.
Well, I wouldn't put it past you. And Anthony is too polite to like say, yo, I'm fucking leaving. I had to like, I don't know if you noticed, last week I had to like shout at him to like take his fucking ass to bed. It was like a bad little kid. He's like, I really need to go to bed, but I'm not leaving. This is the Transformers live stream. I'm not leaving.
It's because I just got my job in the morning.
This is your job. Fuck it.
I wish.
Fuck Seneca. Fuck Seneca.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
said
work
it,
at
bro.
Seneca, so I agree.
That's what I was. What did you think I was saying? Obviously, I was dissing your competition.
Yeah.
Adapt.
Improvise, adapt, overcome.
There you go.
Nice.
That's where I'm from. Okay, so bots at home. Spin. Why don't you see if you can find the schedule while I talk about what I saw. So it was these relatively small channels. Ben's Collectibles. He's got like 55,000 subscribers, so he's not tiny. But a lot of the other guys was like a couple hundred subscribers or something like that. I think the guy in Germany that I'm talking about here. Let me pull up his page behind me right now, real quick.
Oh, you were saying find a schedule. Oh, the schedule that they had like during their feed.
Yeah. If you like, just go to Facebook or go to Facebook. Type in bots at home. Oops, I'm typing on the wrong. But yeah, I was talking to him on Facebook earlier today. He was a cool dude. So I was going to invite him on our stream. The only reason I didn't is because I'm very proud of our stream, except for the frame rate. That's the only thing that's the only thing I don't love about our stream these days.
You sound like a PC gamer.
I know, I'm such a first world motherfucking problems, right? So yeah, this is our dude right here. So he hit me up. He was like, how you doing? I said, I'm good, but a church band woke me up in the morning. I wonder if I can full screen this. I don't know if I can.
Well, it's funny. I found the Facebook group, but they only list the event for last year. They didn't list this year's.
Just type in the hashtag like bots at home and then 2021. And you'll find it.
All right, there they are. Oh, so that's still just one.
It's still what?
No, I'm finding the hashtags and I'm finding the one video, but I'm not finding it like everyone else that was connected. So
Do you see the schedule though?
No. So I still see like references of the same video that you were connected to, but I don't see the schedule.
Which video was I connected to?
Let's see, where is it?
The 6,000 step Menosaur.
Is that what it's
Yes.
called? What is the name? Is that what's called 6,000 Step?
No, Magic Square Toy Minosaur live stream.
What's the name of the channel? Nerd Toy Box?
Tim K's Nerd Crate.
Okay, let me type that in. We'll give Tim some.
Yeah, so a lot of references go to that same video, but not of everyone else. Which, I mean, there's like a whole movement, but somehow everyone else is missing.
Dude, really? Like, I gotta explain to you how to navigate. Just if you're on that video, look in the description. I'm sure you'll see a playlist. Come on, man.
No.
All right. So
I think it'd be easier for you to search for it because I'm, taking care of this end.
I'm looking at it now. I mean, I was gonna put his thing online. I wanted you to show. I sent the link to you on. I sent you guys in the chat the actual schedule.
I'm working on finding it. It's a lot of back scrolling.
Yeah, I'm not in the personal page, so you have to give me a moment.
Anthony, just look at the links that I sent you guys yesterday. I didn't.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking for it. It's just it was a long chat, so I just got to go way back.
Well, I can tell you the time. Like, is it in the afternoon yesterday? And
Okay, let's see.
Like I said to you, I was like, yo, Anthony, are you seeing this? It's before we were talking at nighttime.
Yeah, I know. I'm still not past that. I'm just scrolling back.
Yeah, this does go back quite far.
You guys like to say a lot of redundant words.
Nope, still.
Like, just go to the time. You don't have to say, wow, there's really a lot of messages here. What do you think, Mudflap? Skids, I think there's a lot of messages here.
Wait,
have you gotten to the time that I specified?
Time?
Oh, I believe I found it.
Okay, but here's a question.
You don't see the time on the messages?
Yeah, I see the time on the messages, but I'm saying there's like 1,000 messages, so we still have to scroll back through them.
I'm going to drop it at the bottom of the chat.
So I thought you meant there was like a specific way of searching through the time.
You know this is being recorded, right?
Yes, but I'm not really a Facebook Messenger analyzer, so.
Wait! What? What did you say?
I'm not a Facebook Messenger
Hold on.
analyzer.
Did you notice that I just said to you this is being recorded?
Yes.
Do you know that anything you say is liable to be edited with memes that pop up?
Meme away.
My goodness. This is my good friend. Oh, gotta remember. Okay, like do the opposite. This is my homie Tim K. He's got a nerd crate. He did an awesome review yesterday. I invited y'all, but y'all was doing whatever it is that y'all do. Not ready to jump a 1-2. He look a little like Fat Joe, doesn't he? Just then when he did
here.
it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A little bit.
Maybe he can. He looks a lot like Fat Joe, actually. From that angle, we'll have to do a little skit. I'll do the voice, and he could just meme. I don't think he can really do the Fat Joe voice, but yeah, he's got the expression too. I think he could do it. Anyway, he did a really dope review of this Menasor. Have you guys seen this Menasor?
I was watching it, although I mean I've seen pics of it like all over the place, countless times.
Yeah, it's pretty.
We called it the 6,000 step Menasor earlier because we were talking about it on the stream.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
What do you think of it? What do you think of it, Anthony?
I was musing about it because I said earlier, I'm like, if people are into that, great, but I know for a fact I would not enjoy that because it would take me like 45 minutes to transform it. It'd probably live on a shelf and never get interacted with as a result. If it's somebody else's jam, that's cool. Because
but that's not the case. That's not the case with the individual bots, though. Like in order to form Menasor, you got a lot of steps to transform the trailer right there. But the individual bots, they're little Legends cars. They transform quick.
Well, that's what I was mentioning to Anthony because I did watch, I think, maybe like about 45 minutes or an hour of it. Within that hour, that was just the steps for Menasor.
Yeah, he didn't actually show the individual bots I'm looking at. I'm seeing that now.
I mean, I could see the individual bots would probably take a few seconds, but like an hour just for that trailer section.
Well, it was the case. I mean, I think it's relatively new for him, and then like he had done it before, but I mean, as you know. And we commented it on, and that didn't help, right? We commented it on in the stream that we were slowing him down with the comments. Like he's trying to read the comments and he's trying to do this transformation, and then trying to do the transformation in front of a camera.
Right.
I hear a lot of reviewers, talk about how it's quite a bit more difficult than otherwise. I'm near, as you can see, I'm almost at the setup here where I'm going to be able to really do that. And I'm hoping, although I don't really have any good evidence, but I'm hoping that I'm going to have a better setup such that it's going to be easier for me to do than the way people are doing it. Like they're literally just sticking their camera there and then trying to reach over the camera. Whereas in theory, I have a much better way to do it.
But looking at his setup is kind of similar to what you have, where it's like there's the one camera on him, but then he has like a camera that's facing down on the desk.
Yeah, he's doing it right.
Yeah,
he's doing it right.
Exactly, like what he's currently doing in the background.
Good observation. Let's say this. Tim, if you're out there listening to us, props for your setup. What you got going on, like a lot of Transformers reviewers don't have this kind of a setup. Like people who review other kinds of things, they do that. And even so, like some of the tech reviewers that I watch, they sort of have their camera facing down. He's got the perfect setup there. He's got his phone facing down there. Then he has another camera facing him. He's doing it right.
Well, it's a logical setup because really, if I'm explaining something, I need to look at it as from my point of view to give a better explanation of what I'm looking at, as opposed to like I'm holding it up to the camera and naturally I wouldn't work on a transformer or anything holding it up like this. Like it has to be on the desk.
Spinister, you're my friend. I love you. I feel very bad about having to say this right now, but I just have to remind myself this is my role in the cast, right? Really, you guys know I'm nothing like this when the cameras go off, but your fucking mic isn't muted. So would you please mute your mic while I talk shit about you? It is very logical. I agree 100%, my guy. It'd be logical. So the question is, why the fuck don't you have your desk set up that way? Because for weeks and weeks and weeks, I was like, bro, could you stop cutting your head off? And thank you, you did. You also are wearing a nice cap these days. I like it. It's cool. I also like your little twists. But I would love it if you think that Tim K's setup is so logical. And it's like, oh yeah, well that's only logical. Like that's not anything I wouldn't have come up with myself. Then why the fuck don't you have it set up for your motherfucking self? That's my question to you. Now Anthony, on the other hand, doesn't make these kind of grandiose claims. Hold on, I'm talking about Anthony now. It'll be your turn in a moment. Anthony doesn't make these kind of grandiose claims. He just plays dumb. But Anthony, guess what? The jig is up because Tim, my motherfucking man, Tim K from Germany, has showed you motherfuckers how to engineer some shit, okay?
Okay.
So I would like you to study this setup. It's not complicated. He's got a little fucking arm. Now, I know apparently a $15 fucking tool from Amazon, you're like, I don't know, when am I ever going to use it? Well, you're going to fucking use it next fucking Sunday. So get yourself a little thing for your phone. You're using your computer camera right here, right? So download this program called OBS. It's free. You don't have to have all the cameras around like this. Just hook up your phone, get a little thing like that, and then when you show us your Transformers, then we're all going to be able to like click around and like have our Transformers. Boom. What phone do you have?
Are you talking to me? I got an iPhone. I don't remember what one though.
Which means it's a better camera than the one we're looking at you now, which means it's going to be dope to show your robots that way. So if you have that,
whichever iPhone was the first one to use the weird proprietary headphone jack, so it's fairly recent.
Yeah, I think like 7 or 8.
Yeah, something like that.
In other words, is what you're trying to say that it would be very logical for you to just set up your desk kind of similar to what Tim has done? Is that what you're saying? Because I agree, Anthony. I think that's a good point you're making. Over to y'all. To stumble over each other to make excuses rather than just be like, okay, I'll order this little thing to hold my phone. Or go get some clothes hangers.
Yeah, clothes hangers work.
I got a bunch of them right over there.
Okay, well, you're gonna get the clothes hangers and then you're gonna try to bend them with your hands. Not the right tool for the right job. You use a couple pliers, and then you get the proper angles, and then you're not like, oh, why isn't the thing bending the way I want it to? I know from experience, because sometimes the pliers are in the other room, and I just want to. Yeah, my fingers are hurting, and it's not the right angle, and I could have just gone and got the pliers. If I was German, I would have just gone and got the pliers. But I'm passionate about, being a man and shit. How else you get these motherfucking guns? Sometimes you gotta be hands-on. Sometimes you gotta be menacing. Sometimes you gotta be like a dinosaur, a thunder lizard, a menacing dinosaur, a menacing dinosaur, menacing dinosaur, menacing dinosaur, menacing! A Menosaur. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back next week. Please join our Patreon. When we have 10 subscribers on Patreon, we'll be happy.
And we'll all get pin punchers.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Do some pin punching on live stream.
What about spudgers? I think, you know what? I think like...
The hell's a spudger?
Yeah. Clarify?
Well, my boy Tim K. Let's see here if I can find it. He'll tell you about it. In fact, we had a discussion about it, and we talked about, these barbaric Transformers collectors who are not living the spudger life. And I'm like, what kind of what goes on in these motherfuckers' minds when they ain't living the spudger life? They're just stuck behind. You're stuck behind if you're not living the spudger life. You don't believe me? Ask my motherfucking guy who got the nerd crate right behind. Get your shit together, bro. Okay, I can't find it. Oh, you know what? when we edit this, we'll show Tim K with his spudger life thing. It's a spudger, man. Google it. You're embarrassing me now. Motherfucking Transformers collectors don't have pin punches, don't know what a spudger is. I'm moving to Germany. I'm moving to Germany. You know what? You know what? Let me do this right now.
You have a spudger?
No.
It's like a Lego brick separator, but but for things that aren't Lego.
Anthony, you missed it. Spin gets a touche. He's like, wait a second. Now, I do know Professor D has an electric chainsaw. I know he got a bunch of drills. I know we got some 3D printers, but do you actually have a spudger? My brother. Brother J. What you say, Brother J? Do you have a spudger? Or are you just talking shit today? Turns out I was talking shit. And Spin called it. I don't have a spudger. But that's why I was thinking it would be cool if we did Children of Primus branded spudgers. And unlike most of the things I suggest, it wouldn't be that hard to put together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like something you could start with. Okay, I'm telling Tim that we're reviewing his review on our live stream. We're reviewing his live stream on our live stream.
Man, I can't do that now. It's 11:45 at night. I gotta go to work.
We already did it. Were you not paying attention?
I was too focused on figuring out what a spudger was.
Have you figured it out?
Yes. It's a prying tool of some sort.
That's what she said. Ladies and gentlemen, Children of Primus. Give it up for Children of Primus.
Things get weird this late.
Yes.
Spin. When are you gonna get like the DJ sounds?
Episode 38.
All right, cool. I'm saying we're reviewing your live stream on our live stream.
That
Doesn't mean you have to be silent while I type. Okay, you guys can go ahead and
that
talk.
will officially make us YouTubers. Because now we're, reviewing other YouTube videos.
I'm gonna be making call-out posts.
Yes.
How we're gonna gradually turn into a drama channel.
Oh gosh. Let's see. A Transformers reality drama channel would be who killed Optimus Prime and is Rumble and Frenzy. Who is blue and red between Rumble and Frenzy? Like that.
Speaking of who killed Optimus Prime, Spin, your text from yesterday that mentioned the death of Prime made no sense at all. I don't know if you were all teary-eyed and therefore you couldn't make the sentence make sense. But when you said like Prime died in weren't we supposed to talk about? Oh, that's next week.
That's next week. Oh no, it was just basically a joke anyway, so it wasn't anything serious.
Well, in that case, no point in making sense.
Yeah.
Anthony, you have recently watched Earthrise. I think it would make sense. I think it would make sense for us to talk about, maybe to end off the show this way, talk about what we thought of Siege and Earthrise and give our impressions about those, so that going into next week, we've said our main takeaways from the first two installments of the trilogy.
Siege, in my opinion, okay. I said to myself, this is just every origin story that usually occupies like the first 15 minutes of an episode or a movie, stretched out to about 6 episodes. I didn't think there was anything original there. I will say that Jess, my partner, was watching it with me, and she was more interested in it than me because she's not like lost in the sauce the way I am. So this was all original to her, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm kind of into this. Earthrise, I thought was more interesting.
Yeah, it's not a bad story. It's just not the best telling of the story we already know. Right?
Yeah.
So if they're going to retell the story, we got no problem with that. But like, step it up a notch. Don't just do a mediocre job.
Yeah, I've seen everything here before, basically. Earthrise was a little bit more original, but I also thought it was like less competently executed because it was just kind of a bunch of random stuff that happened in a row. And I said this when I was watching it. It underscored weirdly because like it's a bunch of like barely related things that just kind of happen in sequence. That's the plot of the 86 movie, but the 86 movie's got like a good production and sound and animation design to make it work, and Earthrise didn't have any of that going on. So I almost thought it was like weaker than Siege in that context.
Damn, son, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah.
Oh, check this out. Now hear this. Retrobot Reviews Transformers Earthrise Deluxe Hoist from Children of Primus is being published online. Listen, I can't stay all night talking to you motherfuckers because I'm going to have to check out this review.
There we go.
Yeah, and you can too. All you got to do is go to childrenofprimus.com. No need to type the word "the." You can just type childrenofprimus.com and boom, make your way to the Retrobot Reviews, where Let me tell you a little about it. Originally written February 2020. Oh, this is a blast from the past review.
Yeah.
One of these. Oh, look at that. Happen to have it handy. Originally written February 2020. This was Anthony's first exposure to Earthrise. Talking about Earthrise. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that Mandela effect right there.
Yep.
How serendipitous. It's near ridiculous. Well, Transformers Siege has come and gone, as I was just saying. And the first wave of its sequel line, Transformers Earthrise, has arrived. Realistically, though, I probably still have some Siege reviews in me, because a lot of the motherfuckers on Children of Primus are living in the world that's a little behind us. Including the DJ and the guy who spits the rhymes to the rhythms that remind us of the times when we would just kick back and ride. Plus, put the cassette inside the tape deck and think about when we were little kids playing with tapes that would come out the chest and transform their way about, make themselves out to be robots. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
There you go. A nice cassette that transforms out of a chest.
Well, as Megan would say, you're a true savage. With your little dude Ravage. Anthony, you want to do the honors?
What am I doing?
That's what
she said.
Okay, there we go. All right, that's the end of the stream. Turn it off right there.
All right, I'm getting...
Cut!
Cut it.
Scene! Children of Primus. Even my watch was like, you guys have gone too far. Stop the stream now. Put the stream down now, and nobody gets hurt. Turn the shit off.
I turn the light off.
Oh, okay. All right, we streaming in the dark now, motherfuckers. Oh, it's ghost story time. We streaming once upon a time. There was a motherfucker named Anthony. Look at this ghostly motherfucker right here. All right, I was trying to be scary, but I think Anthony has ghost beat. Shit. Anthony is still here, and yet he's ghosted us. How's that going to go for us?
Nice. Yep.
You guys are on another level, let me say.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Hey, guess what? You were telling the truth. Calvin did talk to you guys.
He did.
And so did Wes. Now, how do you say that last name? Okay, now we can get serious. Now the adults can talk. Finally, this fucking guy. How do you say that? Is it like, you think it's like a Euro? Like a Euro sandwich?
I can't see it at the moment.
Right there. You see it now? Come on. Right there. Wes.
There we go.
You were talking to him earlier. Why are you acting like you don't know?
Well, I only went by his first name.
That's cheating. Which sea spray was he talking about?
Well, at the time we were talking about G1 sea spray.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's not the bomb. That's not the bomb joint right there.
No.
Ooh, look at that. Nice.
Nice.
October TFCon. So are you guys are we gonna do the we're gonna do the rounds? We'll do we'll have like a Children of Primus booth at TFCon in October, and then we'll have another one in Hamilton.
Actually, where is that one? The one behind you.
I think it's in Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore. TFCon Baltimore.
Ah, okay.
Bada boom, bada ball. Bada boom, bada Baltimore.
Funny, I forgot where's Baltimore within the States.
It's East Coast.
Okay.
It's East Coast. It would be drivable.
Right.
I think we should end this stream. I think. Remember when I said cut? Remember when I said cut? That was the time to cut.
That was the time to cut.
Although this is a nice frame.
It is. It's a cool frame.
I had the lighting. Yeah, like occasionally the lighting is such that you can see both me and the screen.
Right.
It also looks a lot better on my camera here than it ends up being, I think, on your end, though.
Well, you got like a multicolor lighting going on there.
Well, I thought you'd never. I thought you didn't even notice. Thank you.
It is cool.
How does it make my hair look?
You know what?
Do I look scared of the robot? Here. It's going to take me some time to figure. There you go. Look at the Cyclops. Shockwave. Shocking. I've got the New Age Shockwave.
Okay.
In the mail. And apparently Bobby, he did the verses on Saturday, and he gave the win to Magic Square.
Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. So I commented that clearly Bobby must be getting secretly funded by Magic Square, funneling the money from China to the CIA through the fire department where he works.
Now we
pretending to be there to put out fires when really he's just collecting all that money from the Chinese.
Now we should end the stream.
And acting like he's such a patriot.
Now we should end the stream.
Actually, did you notice that Mike from Tidarium Hangar and I have challenged Bobby and Tim K to a debate?
I was unaware of this.
Yeah, we've challenged. Mike and I are going to eat Bobby's lunch, just like back in the day, Bobby, having a little PTSD from middle school.
Okay.
Don't eat your lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bobby, as much as I love Bobby, as much as, we are eye to eye, except on that Shockwave, and except on KOs, because he's adamant that KOs are a problem, yet he collects third party, which is IP infringement. And yet he thinks there's a problem with KOs. So totally inconsistent. What is with this dipshit shit, bro? Really? Come on.
Is that really you're joking? Like that's an actual debate? So he's not into knockoffs, but he collects the third parties.
Yeah, like he thinks like knockoffs are not okay. But he has a video called, whatever, KO, like no KO, something like that, no KO, or whatever. I don't remember what it is. But Mike from Tidarium Hangar did a response video called KO OK.
That's a funny.
Well, he flipped it on him, yeah.
Call and
So then on
response.
Tim's stream, so I was down with Tim, and then he started, Spudge of Life. I was like, yo, we got to get some of them Spudges, son. But then he was like dissing KO. So I was like, yo, me and Mike are going to debate you and Bobby. He's like, yo, I'll get Bobby. Bring it, son. So we're going to have to, arrange this internet. It'll be the biggest thing, biggest Transformer event on YouTube.
That's I can't understand that logic. That is quite
Tag
funny.
team debate. I know clearly your point is that Mike and I going to whip some ass. Basically, that's what you're saying.
There you go.
Unlike you, Mike and I are not going to start arguing for the other side in the middle of our time.
No.
All right, Bobby. You heard it. DJ Spinister himself said, you got no chance. Where's Orlati when we need him? Start doing his WWE impressions.
Oh,
Listen, brother.
That live event, the one of Tim's. Cause what time was it on when you were on it? Because I caught it after it was recorded.
It was sometime. It was like when I was texting you. It was sometime in the afternoon. Like what was that? Like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Okay, so I mean, just in terms of timing to get him over here. So 1 or 2 o'clock for us. It was probably like say 8, 9 o'clock at night for him.
Okay. I mean, it's 6 hours apart, right? So we'd have to do it like in the afternoon. It'd be his evening,
Right.
Or our morning, his evening.
Yeah, so we could figure that out.
Other way around. His morning is our evening.
Yep.
Because you said it was like, what'd you say? It was 6 a.m.?
5.
It was 5, and that was a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
It was an hour ago, let's say.
So
Right.
like now it should be about 6 for him. Actually 6 or 7.
All right. Whatever. I'm too tired. I didn't order my pizza again. How does this keep happening?
At least you can still order it.
I don't know, man. This place here, it's not like Toronto.
Then why do you keep ordering? Oh, they have a certain cutoff time?
Yeah, like it. Yeah. No,
Well,
there is a place that has good pizza. My phone died too.
Wow.
How about we end the stream okay, a question.
Mm-hmm.
Ending the stream or not ending the stream? Can we try to troubleshoot the frame rate?
I would have to end the stream to troubleshoot, but I would have to do it either tomorrow or the day after. I still have work to do.
Tonight? You still have work to do tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you still streaming when I told you cut the stream?
Just cut the stream.
You're supposed to you got to remember you got to hit it on a punchline. Like we just end it now. It's like
Well, you can always go back and edit that part out. So once you said cut it, I can cut it from there.
You can
maybe on YouTube. I don't know about Facebook. I haven't tried edits on Facebook yet, but
yeah,
we'll see.
And you can do that even without downloading it and re-uploading it, right? Like they let you end it at a certain time. And then is it what's that called? Like non-destructive editing? Like can you put it back after?
That I don't know.
Clip it and then return?
I don't think so. No, I think once you edit it, that part's gone.
All right. So then, if you do that, now have you been recording on OBS?
Not yet. Even if I recorded it, I wouldn't get to editing it till like who knows, like weeks or months from now.
You just have like that file.
Just in case.
It's a better file because if you're recording it on your end, you don't have the lag.
Right.
So if we wanted to do, and if we want to take some clips, like the best parts of what we did today, we download it from YouTube. Remember what we talked about, right? We download it from YouTube. It's going to be crappy video, but if you record it on your screen, you're not seeing any lag, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. And you're not hearing the weird compression, whereas on my end, I'm getting this weird compression. Right. So you got to always hit record. Somebody's recording, so you may as well be recording.
That's a statement.
Yeah, you may as well be one of the people that's recording because other motherfuckers is recording, and if they got the recording and you don't got the recording, then you're at a loss for words. You're at a loss for words and images.
And images.
Exactly. Yoga. All right, my guy.
All right.
I'll see you in a week.
That is correct. Or maybe less, hopefully.
Hit me up tomorrow if you wanna like, make this shit work.
All right, tomorrow evening.
We'll combine forces and we'll become unstoppable.
Like Public Enemy on a disc.
And then maybe we'll interview some of those motherfuckers if we could get this shit working, because it's been a long time since I talked to Professor
the Griff.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right. There you go. Now you can end it. See? Got rhyme, got the cue.
Yep.
Bada bing.